Gonna go in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the most prestigious wrestling show to start at 10 in the morning for East Coast listeners. I am your host, Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, is Mr. Last Love himself, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how you doing?
Hi. Hello, everybody. Big week for me.
Big week for me. It's going to be a weird year for you, too. We'll get to more of that later, but big week for Scotty over here. But we are joined today by none other than all the way, well, not the West Coast per se, I guess, but beyond the West Coast. All the way from beyond the West Coast, we have from Brace for Impact, Mike Gilbert. Mike, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. We're excited to have you join us this early in the morning. I know that is the toughest task to be giving to someone, but we appreciate you.
Yeah. I like how you guys are like slightly complaining that it's 10:30 where you're at. Guys, it's 5:30 here in Honolulu. But because I love Scotty so much, I made sure that I was up this morning to be able to do this.
And we appreciate it. We appreciate it. It's only I'm good with this time. I wake up early for work. It's really Scotty that dies from stardom
I'm just awake until 3 a.m. consistently. That's the problem. That's my fault. It's my fault.
Yeah, you need to move out to Honolulu. That's what you need to do, Scotty.
Yeah. Scott, I not to brag, but the Noah show from earlier this week on Tuesday night. It started at like 8 o'clock in the evening here. So, but full disclosure, I watched the first hour and a half live, and then I passed out because I had to be at work the next morning. So,
so I would have loved that. Instead, I watched it from whatever. I think it started at 2 a.m. here. So yeah, it was a great time. Had a wonderful time. But I'm happy that we're having you on, and I'm happy that it happens to be my least favorite Impact special in like 2 years that we get to talk about.
Wow,
bro, we picked possibly the worst one to talk about, man. Dude, I was I recorded my show yesterday morning, and I was just like, I love when Impact has a good show because I get fired up to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because they take a lot of shit, and a lot of times they deserve it, right?
Yeah.
But when they do good, I like to be the guy that's out there advocating for them. Mm-hmm. But I came on the air and was like, guys, if you watch this show based off my recommendation, I'm sorry. That one's on me. I was like, however, I must let you know that the previous year's worth of premium events for Impact haven't missed. Not the TV show. The TV show's hit or miss, in my opinion, but the premium events have always been very good. This was the complete opposite. This was their first miss in a very long time.
Yeah. Impact has been, we talk about all the time on here, that Impact has been like, they're constantly a wave, they're constantly a roller coaster of like, they get in like good spots where it's like they had show after show after show, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, this is great, I'm fully back on board. And then they'll start having a bunch of misses, and you're like, oh, come on, Impact.
They'll have Bully Ray. They'll have
a 30-minute segment or however long, it felt like an hour segment with Bully Ray. It's classic Impact, I guess. But we'll get more into Impact No Surrender in a bit. We got some news bits to start off the show with. So again, we'll get to that. First things first, it was announced on the big important announcement that came out of AEW this week was the launch of a new reality show called AEW All Access. It came with a press release and everything, announced by, I guess, technically Adam Cole. Is set to premiere on TBS this March. Including basically following the lives of Adam Cole, Britt Baker, Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, the Young Bucks, Saraya, Wardlow, and Eddie Kingston on a 1-hour show.
Half of those lives I do not want to know anything about.
Who's?
I'm not going to say who, but Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti are very high on that list.
I'm very excited to watch Eddie Kingston's part of it. That's where I'm fully set in. We don't know, obviously, how many episodes it's going to get in or even when the premiere date is, but it's going to be in March, so I guess we'll find out. And it'll be an hour show.
I just like to say it canceled Power Slap. So
yeah, to me, that's the big news.
That's a win. Hey, do you guys want some late breaking news on Power Slap that just came out this morning? I
Yes.
think
Sure.
probably if Scott, if you're not paying attention to one of our chats, Power Slap was about to have a pay-per-view, and none of the pay-per-view companies will carry it. so they've been moved over to a free service. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, because the guy that's reporting it is not exactly a reporter, but he's pretty plugged into that world. He's saying it's going to be on this this alternative YouTube service called Rumble. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that the pay-per-view companies won't be picking it up. So
wow,
It's a great day. It's a great day.
Wow, that
Rumble.
in like retrospect, I guess, in hindsight, the fact that that no pay-per-view service is allowing Power Slap to exist, but Warner Brothers was like, we'll delay the show a week, but we'll continue it because we need some content. That really makes Warner Brothers look kind of worse in hindsight.
Well, I have a theory about that, and and this is completely a theory. This is not like, and I'm not a journalist. Anybody that calls me a journalist has got heat with me, but I have a theory that Dana White and his people, Lorenzo Fertitta and Endeavor, I think they're paying for that time slot. I don't know that for a fact. I just think they're paying for it because that's how UFC was able to get on the air back in 2005 after Raw. That was originally a time buy to get the Ultimate Fighter on the air, and that really is how they were able to springboard, because UFC was banned from TV and banned from pay-per-view for years, and until the Fertittas took it over, until Dana White became the president there, and he was able to add the time space on Spike TV after Raw back in the day, and that's what helped launch UFC, because people wouldn't have anything to do with it. Back in the late 90s, UFC was absolutely banned from banned from TV, banned from pay-per-view. They couldn't get anywhere, and this is the avenue they took. And it looks like they were trying to do the same thing with Power Slap. Now, I don't know that for a fact. That's just Mike's idea of how they were able to get that slot, because there's nothing redeeming about Power Slap. There's nothing entertaining about it. So how they were able to get that they would have had to pay for it, in my opinion.
I think that's totally plausible. The fact that AEW Access is replacing it, I think maybe eats into that theory a little bit, because I guess the season's almost over. I have no idea. I do not keep up with the Power Slap universe in any way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That's interesting. That's interesting, because Warner Brothers would 100% accept that money where it is right now. And trust me, I know that one for firsthand experience. Warner Brothers definitely needs money right now because they do not have it. That'd be an interesting theory. Scotty, are you excited at all for AEW All Access to hit the airwaves?
Well, I just learned Eddie Kingston's on it, so my excitement went from 0 to about 5 instantly. Yeah. I will fast forward through that first episode so fast when I see Sammy Guevara's face pop up, though. I just want to see the fights. Like, are they going to show the fights backstage? Because this company, fun. That's all that happens.
I believe because we heard at one point that
should have started at Brawl Out.
I remember hearing at one point that AEW was starting to film reality show backstage content stuff months ago. I don't remember when exactly that was. I think there was some backstage fighting stuff that happened during it, but I remember hearing one of the reasons the Young Bucks were around but not on television because they were filming stuff for reality show stuff. So
maybe their comeback.
Yeah, and their comeback. I think that was probably part of it.
So this is just being the elite on TV.
Slash the Sammy vlog. You can't forget about the Sammy vlog.
I completely forgot that.
I'm pretty sure this is the replacement for Roads to the Top, right?
Yes, that's because my assessment.
Because TNT and TBS had Roads to the Top before Cody left, and they wanted that programming, and so AEW tried to give them a different version. And I think it looks like the original idea was to follow Adam Cole and Britt Baker and Sammy and Ty Conti, but then they threw a bunch of other people into it. And Eddie Kingston took to Twitter saying he was trying to get out of being on the show by admitting that he would cuss way too much and that he wouldn't be good for the show. And they actually thought that was great, and they wanted him on there more. So he really fucked himself over.
That's the problem with Eddie Kingston. He cusses more, but it just makes him more realistic and more watchable. So it's the guy's too charismatic to be able to do it.
That's my dude right there.
Other news that came out, sort of sadder news, I guess you could say, but you take it as Jeff Hardy. It was announced that his license, his DUI case in Florida was resolved, saying that his license is going to be revoked for 10 or suspended for 10 years. The case is closed. He's got jail time, but he has days credit. It's some weird thing where basically he's not going to be serving jail time, but he at least got it in a weird way. But he's not going to be driving for the next 10 years, and he's if I'm not mistaken, mandatory. Where is it? Mandatory
community service.
Yeah, I believe
community service. And he has to go through alcohol treatment.
Yes, so. Alcohol treatment, $45,000 in fines and court fees, 2 years probation, court-mandated DUI, school or drug rehab program, community service, 2 years with an interlock device, and a 90-day vehicle impoundment. So sort of a sad news, but a good resolution to a story. Because we don't like seeing Jeff Hardy being in this instance, but it's something that, especially the license suspension, desperately needed, because this sort of DUI situation is not great, and it's a thing where you need to get the guy off the roads, and this is the good resolution to that.
Well, but that's the problem with Jeff Hardy. His license was already suspended when he got the DUI.
You're right. Yeah. I totally forgot about that point.
And they could impound his car. He's rich enough. He has other cars, right? Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. And him getting not having a license for 10 years, he's used to not having a license. So honestly, I feel like they just slapped him on the wrist again. This guy's not, look, anytime you take a drink and you get behind the wheel of a vehicle, you're telling everybody on the road that night that their life doesn't matter, that your ego is way more important than their lives. Right. So I take that shit very seriously. And this guy just keeps screwing up time and time again. He keeps getting more and more chances. I think that he's never going to learn until he gets everything taken away from him. He should have 10-year suspension. He should have got 10 years in jail for this latest one, because this is his third DUI, right? This is serious business. This guy's never going to learn until he gets everything stripped from him. And there were reports out that he was just recently like drinking and carrying on out in public here just recently. Right. So what's the difference? This guy doesn't have a driving problem. He has a drinking problem. Yeah. And he's never going to stop until everything gets ripped away from him. And I know that from experience. So.
Well, go ahead, Scotty.
I mean, we say third time. Yeah. That he got caught. Right.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at it. That's the unfortunate way to look at it. I never want to see this guy in a wrestling ring again until like that's the point I'm at. I don't want to see Matt Hardy in the wrestling ring again either, but that's for other reasons. But that's the unfortunate reality. It's like this guy that so many people love, right? Like Jeff Hardy is one of the most beloved baby faces I've seen. And we've come to a point where I never want to see him wrestle again, because he's not taking care of himself, and he's not taking care of the people around him by default. Mike said it perfectly. Like, once you get behind that wheel after a drink, you're telling everyone that you don't matter. And I think that's awful. So it's we could say it's a sad resolution, but it's probably not enough, because I forgot about the license already being suspended, which makes it all the worse that this was all that they did ultimately. Like community service, like that's not going to teach him anything. It's not. No. So it sucks, but hopefully AEW knows better than not to just put him and Matt back on TV until, like, especially if he's just going around drinking. It's like, okay, so you haven't proven anything to anyone that you're better.
Yeah, that's totally true. And also, especially with like they're kind of been doing like the Hardy Boys tease gimmick music thing with the Ethan Page and the Firm and all that group. They're sort of been teasing it with the music. I hope they stay away from bringing Jeff back on television.
I think he's coming back as soon as this community service is up.
You're probably right.
Maybe even sooner than that, because that's the thing about Jeff Hardy. What Scott was saying was true. Everybody loves the guy. I love the guy. I love watching him on TV. He's great. He's one of my favorites ever.
I'd strap him too.
Yeah, but right now I'm just like they are.
They were planning on strapping him, and then this whole thing happened.
Yeah, and I don't see that. I don't see that changing, because he's got he's got this weird way of being able to manipulate people into thinking he's okay. And then he continues to do the same stuff over and over again. It's because A, he's never being held accountable, and B, he never takes accountability.
Yeah.
Right. He's always passing the heat off on somebody else. It's sick addict behavior. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I've seen it for a long time with a lot of people, and he's just another one of those people. And until you feel like actual harmful consequences in your life, until you reach that rock bottom, and for everybody that's different, he hasn't hit that point yet. He's just going to continue to exhibit the same behavior because he's not being held accountable, and it's a sad thing.
Yeah, him not getting fired should be the ultimate tale of where they think he is that they'll bring him back. Kind of with the CM Punk thing, but very different, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like you're still under contract. There's still a good chance you come back.
Yeah, sad, but probably true. Moving on to the next bit, Observer Awards came out, Wrestling Observer Awards, and whether or not you take this with a grain of salt or treat this like the Oscars.
I don't.
This is this is the Wrestling Observer Awards, so we're going to talk about it just real quickly. Winners across the board here: Wrestler of the Year, Jon Moxley; Most Outstanding Wrestler, Will Ospreay; Tag Team of the Year, FTR; Best on Interviews, which is essentially just promos, MJF; Promotion of the Year, AEW; Best Weekly TV Show, AEW Dynamite; Pro Wrestling Match of the Year, Okada versus Ospreay. I believe that's the G1 Climax final. And then, of course, there's the MVPs per the region. Scotty, how'd you feel about these Observer Awards? I know you're sort of just like, the award shows, there were Observer stuff. Who gives a crap, right?
Well, you could have given Shuri some credit, but that's fine. She won Women's Wrestler of the Year, so you could have gave me the one that I would have appreciated you saying.
My apologies. I just
everything else was expected. Like, I read
the category A. I didn't read the category B winners. My apologies.
I'm just saying.
It's not my fault that the Women's Wrestler of the Year is in category B.
Oh yeah, that's a problem for Dave, I guess. But everything what is expected. Nothing surprised me. I mean, AEW had a bad final 6 months for the most part, but they were always going to win. So.
Yeah. So it's the People's Choice Awards for the people that read the Wrestling Observer newsletter and listen to the Wrestling Observer radio. And so it's not really an objective thing because that publication skews heavy into New Japan and AEW, and it always has. Because the style of wrestling that they do is kind of the style that the people that write there and that read there, that's what they like. So and if weekly TV show Dynamite, I would say that, I mean, that's easy. That was an easy victory. I think Dynamite's the funnest show of wrestling every single week. It's the most consistently fun 2 hours of television every single week. And that didn't stop at any point. They had a couple of stinkers, but it's like 2 or 3 out of 52 weeks. That's pretty damn good.
We had that conversation last week when it was like Dynamite has a great show for like 2 months straight, and then they have one stinker with a bad rating and everything, and everyone explodes.
People proceeded me to call me an AEW shill because of that, but that's fine. Not AEW, WWE shill. E-drone.
Right.
I was like,
you're
what?
An E-drone. But for AEW to be Promotion of the Year is just asinine. That's just factually not true. They had a good first 6 months, and then business dropped off the second 6 months, while WWE had a bad maybe like January, February, but their business from March through the end of the year just got better and better and better and better, right? And that didn't start with Triple H. That started with Vince, but it started around the road to WrestleMania in March through WrestleMania and on to the end of the year. So by the end of the year, they were by the end of the year, they were better than when they started. That's incredible. And look, and I'm not a big WWE watcher. I try to keep up a little bit on Hulu and I try to catch SmackDown here and there. I'm not like an avid watcher. I like the premium events. And I don't watch those live. I just kind of pick and choose what I want to watch off of those things.
Sure.
But to say that they weren't the best promotion of the year, I think that's crazy.
Well, that's the tough part. When you talk about like the finances of AEW and WWE, that's like the tough part talking about WWE, because the money that they get is for the guaranteed for the most part. They have the streaming deal of Peacock, they have the TV deal where it's just guaranteed money over and over, constantly growing every year. So it's very tough to even say like
it is.
Go
well,
ahead.
it's not an apples and apples comparison, right? Because
Yes,
success
exactly.
is relative.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
so WWE was better than they were in December than when they started in January, and
Agreed.
not just so not the TV money. TV money, throw that to the side. TV ratings were better by the end of the year than what they had started, and their year-over-year ratings were up, right?
Yep.
But not only that, ticket sales were up, merchandise
Ticket
sales.
sales are crazy.
They had hot angles, and then you go to AEW. By the end of the year, everything was down, right? Everything was trending downward. Ticket sales were trending downward. I don't know about the merchandise stuff. I don't know if they have anybody hot, but they didn't really have any hot angles, right? They lost CM Punk because of the brawl out stuff,
Yeah.
right? So they had all this stuff. They were trending downwards by the end of the year, but like WWE had like a 9-month trajectory where they're going up and up and up, and I think that if you don't factor that in there, you're just being disingenuous, and that's why it's like this is my favorite. So to say promotion of the year, it's not really like promotion of the year. This is like, hey, this is the promotion that I liked most throughout the year, and that's what it is, and that's a publication that skews heavy into AEW and New Japan, which Mike Gilbert skews heavy into AEW and New Japan too. So I totally get it, but if but you got to look at it objectively, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to look at it, Ryan, you got your tussle this week about awards. But like every award for every website or publication, it's just based on who listens to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like that's at the end of the day. That's why like with the Fightful Awards, everyone from AEW and WWE won because that's their main coverage. And then, like you said, with the Observer, it's AEW, New Japan.
For our award shows, we skew more into like Deathmatch and Stardom because we have Stardom and Deathmatch podcasts on our network. That is the listenership that we have. So we skew more in our awards having Deathmatch and Stardom or Joshi representation.
It's almost impossible to have all of pro wrestling recognized in any of these awards.
Yeah.
Because it's like no one's covering everything or can cover everything. Let me rephrase. It's almost impossible.
Of course.
Well, yeah, but it's like it's almost impossible. So it's like the way I look at these awards is like, all right, did like things that I think deserve to rank higher, like NWA should have been worst promotion of the year, unquestioned.
Yeah, they were,
okay,
what was it? They were second, I believe.
They were second, but like, come on, people, that was the worst wrestling promotion of the year. It's not a question. But like, I also look at like, okay, I see Stardom's growth through these awards. Yes. That's what I'm happy about. I see, Jon Moxley getting Wrestler of the Year. I'm not going to fight that. What he needed to do for them alone, it's like, all right, that makes sense.
Great matches, and then pull the company out of a lot of stink in that all-out situation.
He was like a 7-time world champion last year because of that. Like that's the thing. So I don't take too much. I take every award show as a grain of salt. My least favorite thing is that I have to now go on Twitter those days and then see everyone talking about them. That's my biggest pain.
Yeah, see everybody complain about them like it's a real thing. It's not. It's not a real thing. It is a people's choice thing. It's not like
if Dave picked them, it'd be one thing, but Dave's not picking them.
Yes.
No. Now, if Dave, and I honestly think he should do this. If Dave got together members of the media, like kind of like what he does every year for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If you got members of the media and he got wrestlers, leave the fans out of it. Fuck them. Right. Just wrestlers and media. Right. I'm talking like people in the know.
Yeah.
And you have to have at least 10 years experience in pro wrestling media.
That's a good one.
And then you vote that way. I would say that would be a more accurate representation, and you get media from all across the landscape. But if he's just polling his own voters, then he kind of tells them like they listen to him because they like the same thing as him, and he likes AEW and New Japan, even though he was very bullish on AEW not being good the last 6 months. He was, he went above and beyond to express that to people, but they're conditioned to like that type of wrestling.
That left people saying he hates AEW now, and I thought that was very funny. I was like, "Come on!"
Weeks ago, he hated WWE, and now he hates AEW.
Even my boss at Fight Game, Garrett, is taking shrapnel because they're saying that he hates Tony Khan. It's like, what are you talking about, you idiots?
Yeah, it's like if you say one bad thing, it's just you hate. No,
Yeah.
I just being.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
we're talking reality here.
trust me, I know that one. If you talk badly about one thing, you get dunked on about something. No,
Mhm.
but I totally agree with that sentiment, Mike. About I would have liked that too if the award shows for the Observer or any honestly, if we were able to do that with anything in terms of wrestling. I think that'd be a better way of doing it, of sort of treating it how the Observer treats the Hall of Fame, of doing it from people
Yeah.
within the media, within the historians, media, wrestlers themselves. Now, granted, I'm sure there are like wrestlers and historians that have subscribed to the Observer, newsletter. So I'm sure there are some of them that vote in the award system. But people that like making it more of like, treating it like the Oscars, where it's people within the industry, people, actors, sound designers, prop makers, all yada yada yada, producers, directors who are voting on all these things. And
I like the 10-year idea.
the
Like
10-year
10
idea.
years at
Yeah.
least. Like
Mhm.
you have to be in this for a long time and have seen enough.
Yeah.
You know, because
Mhm.
like if you have newer people in, you still risk the chance of AEW just being automatically favored, understandably
Yeah.
so. 'Cause
Sure.
like we
or
all
you
agree
run
on
the
Dynamite's fantastic and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah, or you run the risk of getting an idiot like Louis Dangor in there and saying his bullshit.
yeah, we
Like
don't want to do that.
he's 12 years old and has a fucking opinion now. Sorry, hey
Yeah,
guys,
dumb
I
opinion.
didn't ask you. Am I allowed to cuss on the show?
Yeah,
My
go
bad.
for it. No, any Louis
Okay.
slander, I appreciate.
I'll keep waiting for you guys to give me the no cuss on the show.
No,
Sorry.
this isn't anything goes. I mean, technically, I guess we shouldn't curse as much in the beginning because YouTube stuff, but that's YouTube
my
bullshit.
bad. Scotty should have warned you about me. My bad.
No, you're fine. We curse all the time on the show. I only say that because I think YouTube changed like the algorithm that like if you curse in like the first minute, I think then
I think we were good.
yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
fine. But it's something like that where it's like if you curse in the first minute, you get like demonetized or something. It's
Oh,
like
wow.
That's
yeah,
okay.
it's it's YouTube. But beyond
Yeah.
that, no, I totally agree with you. No, the other half of this all is like Scotty talked about, as Mike talked about, that then you have a day of opinions about the awards. Like whether or not these awards matter is one thing, and how much weight we put into the awards is one
Yeah.
thing. But then you could argue that there's a lot of weight into the awards when a bunch of people get upset about them. And you have
Yeah.
people saying, "Oh, by next year they'll be the third most, important award show," and or oh, it doesn't matter. WWE and all, WWE doesn't get representation, so it doesn't matter. All that stuff. So it's in a weird way, it's like how we treat the Observer Awards versus any other award show is very interesting conversation to have.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't like any of them.
Yeah. Well, and Dave is the most tenured, and he's the most respected, which means he gets the most hate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like people think that he picks these, and he just doesn't. Other than the MVP awards, which he does pick because that's based off of business, right? So,
right.
other than that, everything else is just a fan voting. And so now it's just fans getting mad at other fans because they disagree about who they like the best. So they're all idiots.
We should have like an award show that's like an award show based on every other award show of all wrestling things to find the most awarded award.
It's the Observer Awards and PWI Day that absolutely drives me up a wall. Like
Yeah.
those are the 2 days that I'm like, I don't want to exist on social media because it's
Yeah.
gonna be awful.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
it almost always is.
What I will say, and I know we'll probably transition to another topic here pretty quick, but my last thing on this, well, the good thing about the Observer Awards, they've been around forever. He's been doing them since, like, I think before I was born.
Yeah.
It is a good reference point to watch awesome matches. And
Yes.
my cousin has compiled every match of the year since the beginning of the Observer, and he has it in a Plex on his Plex server, and he puts it in there. So every time a match wins match of the year, so we have matches of the year going back all the way to I think 1981, Jerry Lawler versus Terry Funk. And so we got that. So it's been a good reference point for me just to watch awesome matches. And so anytime something I will, if I missed a match, like right now, everybody's telling me that Yuji Nagata and Kento Miyahara is already a match of the year. So I started watching that before we went live, and I'm going to go finish that as soon as we're done here. So I think that's a great tool to have, is the Observer match of the year. Other than that, everything else on I don't really care about. Especially I don't like the worst. because I think that brings out the worst in people. So if you're
Yes.
saying
Yeah.
worst wrestler, worst promo, worst announcer, worst show, again, that brings out the worst in people. I don't think it's a good idea to promote negativity like that when we have a ton of that already.
Totally agree with that. And I totally agree with your point about like length of time. I mean, that for me, I don't care about the per se about how the fan voting on everything takes place, but the prestige, the historic nature of the awards, the length of time that they've existed is what really I greatly see. That's the value I bring into the awards. Being able to look
Yeah.
at just the sliver of time, what wrestling culture felt like was important, was the best, what was sadly the worst for 30 years, 30 plus years or whatever it is. That is a huge value, valuable thing to have. And like you said, be able to pinpoint what was match of the year, what were wrestlers to watch at that time. I know what were wrestlers not to watch at that time. Things of that nature. That is really what creates like the valuable aspect of it. And I think to me that's the weight I put into it. Of this is essentially going to be a historic point in time that we can look back in 20 years and be like, oh, who was a great wrestler back in 2023, and we can look back and see that there. Moving on to the next topic point, Mercedes Moné. It was announced via a Wrestling Observer, sticking with them, that what her next challengers will be. We knew she had 2 more dates on the calendar, but now it looks like we have what Dave is saying are the next challengers. So it's going to be Azame at the.
Well, that's official.
That's official, yes. At April 8th in Sumo Hall for on the Sakura Genesis shows, yes. Where she'll defend against Azame. And then later at 423 at Stardom Show in the Yokohama Arena, she is scheduled to face Maya Iwatani. Obviously, that's not confirmed yet, but that is, per Dave's typical Stardom sources, you got to believe that's going to be accurate. So, Scotty, I know that you have feelings and opinions on this. I think Mercedes and Azame is going to be a great match, but Scotty, I really want you to talk about Mercedes and Maya Iwatani.
Well, I do want to add this in before I do, is that I do think that Mercedes is going to try and get every single match that she wants, which is why she's only signed up for this long with New Japan / Stardom, because she wants matches with, Aja Kong and Miyu Yamashita and Mickey James. Like, she's named so many people, and I think she wants to go get all of those matches. So that's the reason that she's only signed on for these dates for now. It's that so she's not binded by a contract and she can't do her matches. She did that for a long time. She's used to being the binded by contract thing. I think that's part of it. And she's doing all this movie stuff and TV and Mandalorian's coming out. So she's a busy person as is. But the Mayu Iwatani match, I have to retire. So it was a good run. I said stupidly at last year when all the Sasha stuff started, I was like, oh, you know what? If my one dream match of her and Mayu happens, I will retire. And now it's happening. So we're in the build up to Scotty's Last Love tour. So that was a good run. It was a good run. I am now Muto. The next retirement has begun. So it was a good run. I'm very excited. I'm going to talk about it probably every week from here on out. So I'll just save everyone some time now. But yeah, I say I'm excited, but it's a little sad.
It's a bittersweet excitement.
Yeah, it's the end of my run. It's the end of Ring Post Radio. It's fine.
Wait, what?
Well, no, you can do a Terry Funk style retire. Like
That's
Terry
true.
Funk retired. Yeah, he retired in Japan, I think, in like 1982, and then he proceeded to wrestle for 30 more years. So I think you could do stuff like that. Just
I probably
just
could.
keep having retirement shows.
Yeah, the beauty of wrestling is that I can come back at any time.
Yeah, we'll do that whatever that show is around 423. We'll have the Scotty Last Love show, and then the next show will be the Scotty Fight Forever show, where it's the return show where he just keeps going. Mike, obviously with these 2 announcements, I think that's very exciting matches to be had. Are there any matches that you're very excited about or hoping to happen down the line with Mercedes Moné?
Well, personally, because I have a stake in this, being that I have an Impact podcast, I think I would, I would like to see the Mickey James thing just because I think that benefits my show. But Mickey James isn't even Like of all the matchups that she could have in Impact or with Impact stars, Mickey James would be a little bit down on that list for me. You know, I think I would like to see her versus Masha Slamovich, Jordan Grace, and Deanna Prazo before I would like to see Mickey James. But Mickey James is the biggest star in the promotion, so I think that's the one that you go with because that's what makes the most money. You know, Multiverse United makes a lot of sense there because you know, you got Impact and New Japan doing a joint show. Right now they don't really have like a marquee main event. I know they have Speedball and Osprey, and that's great. I don't think that's going to get you a ton of pay-per-view buys. As great as Speedball is, he's not really a money draw. Will Osprey is, but Speedball, you know, not really.
Yeah.
So I think that if you put
You buy
Mickey
some
and
other shows that week for him.
yeah, he's going to be wrestling 15 times that day.
Yeah.
So, but if you throw Mickey and Sasha on that show, it could probably do a little bit better. But you're talking about a pay-per-view that airs on 11 p.m. Eastern on a Thursday night during WrestleMania weekend. I don't think that does very well. So I could see you talked about the 8th against Azame, right, and the 23rd against Maya Iwatani. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Well, set right in between that, a Sunday night date is Rebellion for Impact in Toronto. I think that Mickey versus Mercedes Monet, the main event in Toronto, probably one of the biggest Impact shows that we're going to have in a couple of years. Kenny Omega headlined Rebellion a couple years ago, so that's been kind of one of Impact's more marquee shows. I could see them doing that there. But we'll see. So they, you know, Mickey's been teasing it. Scott D'Amore went so far to tease it. Mercedes is the one that brought it up, so that's what's getting me to post all these videos talking about it because I get those clicks, baby. No one loves Hope more than Impact fans.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part about it. Talk about bittersweet. You know, Scott has to retire. The unfortunate part about it is the fact that it's even a probability means I have to eat shit on my own podcast because I said Impact ain't got a hope in hell of ever seeing Mercedes Monet on their airwaves unless it's a commercial for New Japan. And sure enough, she's teasing the match. I think it's a probability now at this point. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but I think that they could do it. Impact. If it's a match that they really want that they think is going to make them a lot of money, they have the resources to put it together because they are owned by a decent sized company, even though they own small networks. They can absolutely put that together if they feel like they're going to get a return on investment, which is why they were able to bring in Kenny Omega for those dates, and which is why they've negotiated with other big stars. So I could actually see this happening. Is it the most exciting match that they could possibly make with her in Impact? No, but it's the biggest match.
And it's not like, you know, she wasn't a proven draw in WWE, you know, before, but now that she's outside the system and with you know the potential that she'll show up at Wrestle Kingdom and then this actual show, you know, obviously we don't know the pay-per-view buys for that show, and I'm sure they're slightly down based on how, you know, how many people probably were upset about that 45-minute delay. I was. You know, it's going to come down to, you know, we now know that she's outside WWE. She's also a draw. So it's going to come down to money. And I think you're right. I think Scott D'Amore, I think Mickey James, I'm sure other women in the roster would love to wrestle her as well. And I'm sure Mercedes wants to wrestle as well. So it's going to come down to money. If Impact can fork over the cash, fork over the Brinks truck for Mercedes, then go for it. She's going to draw, so they know for a fact that if she draws, she's going to be bringing in more money for that. So I'm sure they can do some sort of deal there. And if they can do, you know, if I was Mercedes, you just sell 3 matches to each of these companies and just say, hey, I'll wrestle them, Stardom 3 matches. I'll go to Tokyo Joshi and wrestle 3. I'll go to Impact and wrestle 3. I'll go to AEW wrestle 3 or whatever. You know, why not? Just, you know, just work.
I say that one.
Yeah, I know. It was, you know, just work sort of, you know, all over the place. And it seems like I agree with you, Scotty, about that point of wanting to get out of a contract. She's been in the contract for so long. She doesn't want to sign anything too long term for right now, especially with wanting to have TV and movie stuff lined up and to have that schedule open for that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. If just selling a couple matches here and there is what she's probably going to be doing.
The reason I think she's going to get what she wants, no matter what, is because she got the Azumi match. That was not be a IWGP Women's Title match unless she asked for it. Yeah. I'll tell you that right now. I think, you know, Azumi's 20 years old. She's going to be a star, but like she's not. They have a prominent group of main event stars they could put in that spot. at Genesis, and like it's a very big deal that she got that match. So I think she's literally going out of her way to get the matches she wants, and as long as the money's there to meet with it, she will get everything that she wants because everyone's going to say yes to a draw at the end of the day, as you should. That's what wrestling's all about, drawing money.
Yeah. Mike, how are we doing on time? I think we're good.
No, we're doing good until I hear a little pitter patter of a 4-year-old girl. I think we're set.
Perfect. Then we'll move into the next, not really news bits, sort of just more of a discussion conversation here. Now that the Ring of Honor tapings are happening, I was going to say as we speak, but last night and tonight at the time of recording, and the television show is set to premiere, I believe, this Thursday. Ring of Honor is back. What I sort of want to talk about, and Scotty also brought this up, sort of like hopes for Ring of Honor. Now that it's television and everything is coming back fully, and now we're out of the pay-per-view cycle that was last year, what are we hoping for with Ring of Honor? What do we want to see? Are we wanting to see the full-on split between these two brands? Do we want to have a crossover of other stuff? Crossover of New Japan's already seemingly happening. What are we hoping for with Ring of Honor? Mike, I'll start with you.
What I had hoped for was it to be kind of like what Cyber Agent's doing with Noah and DDT and Tokyo Joshi Pro. They're the same company operating three different promotions independently of each other, and then coming together for super shows. That was my hope. Based on the tapings that we got, we're not going to see that. And I don't want to really get into spoilers. I don't think you guys are doing that here. Yeah. But let's just say that there were actually several AEW contracted talent on Ring of Honor, and the upcoming pay-per-view is going to be headlined by a couple of AEW talent, right? So, so it's not that. So that was my hope, that it was going to be that, and I was hoping they would keep some of the old school Ring of Honor charm, but since they're doing it at the Orlando soundstage, we're not getting that either. Right. So what we're getting is like TNA without the horseshit, probably, because it's on that soundstage. And it's going to be like a cross between TNA and NXT with our ROH's logo. Yeah. I think what we're actually going to get is a breeding ground for AEW to build their next crop of stars. Ring of Honor is going to be AEW's NXT. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's just not what I wanted whenever they bought the promotion. That's what I think that's what I think we're getting. And based off of the tapings that we just heard about and some of the stuff that's been posted online already, that looks like that's what we're getting.
Scotty, what are you hoping out of Ring of Honor?
I think we are getting someone, I forget who tweeted this or said this. Maybe it was Paul in the Fight Game Media chat. But he said that this is looking like NXT 2015 to 2018. And if that's the case, it's almost too good to be true for me, because one, I loved NXT back then. So automatically I'm like, yes.
It was my favorite show every single week, and all the premium live events never missed during that time.
Exactly. And if that's where they're going, then that's okay with me. Because then that way you have the mix, right? You have the mix of developing stars like a Billy Starks, and who I'm not going to name other people that popped up on that show. I just realized we're not trying to spoil people, but like you have the prospects, and then you have the likes of a Claudio and Wheeler Yuta, and like these guys that you see on the AEW television that can come in and wrestle. So it's kind of like with NXT when they were bringing in indie stars, right? But they had a mixture, so like people would go up and you would have a new crop. I think that's kind of how you can work it with the AEW like stars. Part of it is like refresh every cycle, like between every pay-per-view cycle, bring in, Swerve, bring in Keith Lee. The next time around, you could bring in, I can't think of anyone now, but you get my point. Daniel Garcia and guys like that. You can just keep repeating it so that Ring of Honor always stays fresh while you do have that main crop of young guys. And, you're going to have like Mark Briscoe on there all the time because he is Ring of Honor, obviously. But hopefully my goal for this show is that it does create interest, and that maybe they can get a TV deal somewhere down the line, much like an NXT did.
Yeah, I think the toughest thing that we don't know about is, there's a lot of AEW contract that's already in there, but I don't know how their contract stuff is set up. Is it like, I know we saw the graphic for AEW, but is it, is it actually a Ring of Honor contract? We heard that when he was bringing in Claudio that it was going to be a Ring of Honor sort of contract, and then it sort of became AEW. I think that's for me like the frustration part. But I totally agree with Scotty here that I totally want, like, for the most part, a separate roster, right? I want to be looking at that roster page on Ring of Honor's website and seeing a bunch of different names that aren't on AEW's roster page. But I totally agree that, and I don't know if they ever have plans. I wouldn't be surprised if they have plans to do touring down the line. But I think if you're not doing touring, then we can keep it a smaller roster. We're just going to be selling these tickets to this Orlando crowd, and it can work. And obviously with NXT, we know for years that it did work. But I think bringing in people, obviously having people like Mark Briscoe in there is going to be getting people better. But the way to ultimately get better is that, these people can wrestle all the time, and that's fine, and they'll get better from that. But for them to get, reach that next level is you got to bring in people from the AEW roster. We're almost saying that the AEW roster is going to be better, more experienced wrestlers. But in a way, I guess that's what we're kind of saying, is that, bringing people down from AEW to Ring of Honor to then be like, okay, let's bring in, let's have, never going to happen. I doubt it's ever going to happen. But let's bring in like a John Moxley to face one guy on the Ring of Honor roster.
I wouldn't shock me if that man showed up.
Yeah, I guess that,
yeah.
I guess that's probably true. If anyone, he'll probably show up. But maybe I was going to say Chris Jericho, but he was just the Ring of Honor World Champion. So maybe anybody. Who gives a shit? But bringing down one person to come in, wrestle a top guy in Ring of Honor, top girl in Ring of Honor, and then, just a one-off match. Because ultimately what that's going to do is get them more experience to wrestle someone at that kind of level, professional wrestling level. And that is ultimately how you get people to become even better wrestlers, is wrestling people better than you. And that's just doing that over and over again. You'll become more, better and better. So I think doing that, I would love a separate roster, but I can totally understand bringing people down every once in a while. But I don't want it to be like completely mixed. That I don't really want that.
Yeah.
It's the type of place where Lance Archer, who isn't on TV for months at a time with AEW, can be working, right? It's the kind of thing like that. So I'm excited for it because Ring of Honor so far, pay-per-view wise, under Tony Khan has been phenomenal. With those, of course, the tag title matches with the Briscoes and FTR are main reason for that. But the more he gets to, I think, sink his teeth into this based off of some of the things I've seen from that show, it's already looking really good. And you're bringing in the likes of the New Japan side, and maybe relationship with Impact can come back together. Of course, that they've worked together slightly over the past couple months, not as much as they were once, but working with everybody to help make Ring of Honor also better is not a bad thing.
I'll add bringing back in a Ring of Honor old relationship with CMLL. Let's restart that relationship again. I'd love to see some CMLL guys in here mixing it up.
Yeah, well, and I thought we might get that because CMLL is on the upswing again, right? They finally got their stuff together. And it looked like the AAA relationship with AEW was dying, but they just brought in Commander. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on because Commander's the AAA guy. So
yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else I'm really hoping.
You think you can fool them? Did they make them think Ring of Honor is a different brand?
I don't know. I think having Tony Khan come out and be like, "I own this company now," is going to be a tough get for that.
It was worth a shot.
But yeah, I really hope. I think down the line, I would love to have them in some sort of TV deal. If they're going to be a touring company, that was one of the arguments about NXT. One of the tough parts about NXT is that once it became a touring company, then you needed like huge stars, and no longer became a developed brand. You needed to sell tickets. If they're just staying in Orlando, then you don't have to worry about that. I saw someone also tweet out saying that like what's great about it is staying in one area is like, and not having a TV deal is you're not worrying about ratings. You're not worrying about drawing tickets, drawing rating. You're just worried about, putting on a good show, selling a monthly subscription, and that's it. Basically, that's pretty much all. And making sure people get better. Which is
someone that
good. Sorry. Well, and the good thing about that soundstage there, as a guy who's kind of like, I got really into Jeff Jarrett's podcast, and they're at like, it's not the same exact stage, but it's in the same area, right? Yeah. You rent that out monthly basis. That's yours. You can run as many events as you want there. So them staying there in Orlando makes them much more financially viable while they don't have a TV deal, right? So they're trying to get, they're like, this is a paid subscription model for them to be able to watch TV. So they're not going to get a ton of money. So it doesn't make any sense for them to be touring right now, because touring for them is not going to be financially viable without a TV deal, because you're probably going to sell a couple hundred tickets in all these little markets. Ring of Honor was never really a big ticket mover. The name Ring of Honor is not a big ticket mover at all. That's why my idea was for them just to do Rampage live every Friday nights and record Ring of Honor before Rampage came on the air. But they're just going to stick there in Orlando, which I think is business-wise is a smart move. It's not what I wanted, but it is a smart play.
Yeah. What I was just gonna say was, as someone that's been to one of those NXT tapings when they were used to be in Full Sail, it I think if you stay in one location, it works, because then you create like a rabid fan base that wants to be there each time you do recordings, and that's why these shows feel lively, right? I think that's very important for any wrestling show, is that you have a great crowd. So if that's what you can develop here with Ring of Honor while you stick in Universal and wait to, kind of make more money elsewhere, it's not a bad gig for them. And if you look back at old like TNA clips, they had a rabid fan base for a long time there too. So it's it works. It's just a matter of being consistent.
And giving that fan base what they want. And that's what happened with TNA. They died. Well, a lot of reasons why they died, but the crowds died because they were putting out crappy TV, right? It wasn't because they burnt out the crowd. That wasn't it. They just kept giving them bad wrestling. And so they quit showing up, and the people that did show up were just, drunks playing on their phones. That was it.
Or someone that was at the park that day. I was like, "Oh, there's a taping? All right.
A free ticket? Yeah, sure. I'll go do this for free." Yeah. I hope for the best for Ring of Honor, and I'm excited to see their TV show restart this Thursday. So I'm excited to see what happens there. But let's talk about one of the reasons why we brought Mike on here. Let's talk about Impact Wrestling's No Surrender. It took place last Friday night down in Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't have attendance here, but
can I just
like a pretty good crowd
this off perfectly?
Yeah, go for it.
My favorite match at Impact this week happened on their television show and not the special. So I feel like that was kind of, and there were some good matches on the No Surrender. It's just like, I'm used to like saying, "Oh, that was one of the best Impact matches of the year." And I mean, the main event might have still been that, but I want to get back to that. I'm sure they will. They have some good stuff coming up, so not worried.
Yeah, for me, it was sort of like I feel like I'm a little bit higher on the show than you guys were. I thought it was like
Billy Ray guy. What can you say?
Big Bully Ray, big David LaGreca guy, whatever his name is. Big fan. No. I was sort of like, there were matches where I was into and I liked. There were matches I weren't into, but overall I thought it was like fine. Like, it was certainly like disappointing based on the card, because I thought the card was gonna be better. But that's my own expectations. I think what I got, I thought I was fine with. It wasn't as good, totally not as good as the trend that they've been on lately. But I wasn't like, I didn't think this was the worst show of all time. I think this was like fine, serviceable, good, some solid matches on here. I'll take it and I'll call it a day and I'll move on. But it is what it is.
When you're in a position that Impact's in, serviceable is not good for you, right?
Great point.
They have to be. They have to be consistently blow away on these premium events. And I knew going into it that there were going to be two things that really stuck out like a sore thumb, and that was Kazarian versus Big Con. Which actually ended up like, okay, it wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible, because Kazarian could still work, right? Yes. And then of course the Bully Ray and Tummy Dreamer segment. And that was among the worst segments in history.
Yeah.
I got these two fucking idiots talking shit about each other's moms, and they're pretending to cry. Now I will say Bully Ray is a good performer, right? Sure. Like he can act. He's a good actor. He's a good performer. Tommy Dreamer might as well be in community theater, like at the local community center. Like his performance was just terrible. This guy's phoning it in. Like Bully Ray can at least act. Like I think that if I think Bully Ray could get cast as like a background guy in TV shows. Actually, he was on The Sopranos back in the day, so it makes sense. So I thought while Bully Ray had a strong performance, the content of it was among the worst things I've ever seen, and it was just a big waste of time. They could have just done that on the weekly show, right? Like when I want these premium live events, I want to see badass wrestling, and that's what they've been giving me consistently for well over a year now. And that's why I encouraged, like, hey, look, there's 2 segments on here that I think aren't going to be good, but you got all this other stuff that I think is going to be great. Unfortunately, what happened is the other stuff wasn't good enough to outweigh that bad stuff.
That's fair.
And that's what we got here. I thought Swan and Alexander had an incredible match, but the crowd got killed by that segment. So you really had to go above and beyond to get them back. I felt like they did get the crowd in the last 10 minutes of the match, but it wasn't good enough to outweigh the bad. And it was honestly, as far as Alexander's pay-per-view match performances as the champion, I put that last on the list there. It was better than some of his TV main event. It was better than Bobby Fish. I didn't really. The 60-minute match of Speedball Bailey wasn't honestly one of my favorite Josh Alexander matches. I put this one above that one. But I felt like that was last on the list there. And then, but the trios match with the Bullet Club and Time Machines, I thought was really good. Masha and Mickey James underdelivered, I thought. And it's just because I really think that Bully and Tommy killed the crowd and they couldn't get it back.
I don't know if this is a controversial take in any way, but Bully in Impact and having this sort of focus and sort of using Bully to draw in Busted Open radio fans has like a weird sort of like NWA pushing Tyrus thing where it's like we're trying to bring in Fox News, we're trying to bring in Fox News fans to watch this promotion. So we're gonna use that sort of like way. It's like he's only getting pushed because he has fans from the outside to get that. And I agree. I think Bully Ray at moments can be compelling. I think Bully Ray at moments can be good, but he smells his own farts so much, and it's so frustrating to watch sometimes for this guy because it is like a 30-minute segment that's like this thing could have been cut so in half and would have been at least better. Angles sometimes he does like, oh yeah, he's drawing heat, but it just lasts way too long. It's just a situation with this guy. But I get, we're trying to sell some tickets. We're trying to use Bully Ray to sell some tickets, which is weird in 2023, but it is what it is.
Well, I'd like to see some evidence that that's working. And
I agree. I agree.
For Impact, ticket sales are up, right? They sold out both nights in Vegas so far. And they're getting ready to do a third night. So we'll see if they sell out again. But
they sold out in Atlanta. They sold out in Atlanta.
They sold out the first night in Atlanta. I think the second night didn't sell out, but it was close, right? So they're doing. But television ratings are in the toilet. They're being outdrawn by MLW at this point. So I'm like I want to see some evidence that all this is working, and I'm just not seeing it. But Bully Ray can be good in doses. Bully Ray, what he has over Tyrus is he obviously much better in the ring, much better promo.
Yes.
And he's actually a legendary figure in pro wrestling. And he at one point was a draw in this promotion, especially as champion in 2013. People can say what they want about TNA in 2013. That was probably their last year where they were putting out some actual compelling television. And it was centered around him as the world champion. And they would actually draw houses of over 5,000 people. But ever since then it's been dead. So he does have a history, and so it's like, hey, you got him on Busted Open, so they like that part. But then you also got hey, at one point in time 10 years ago this guy was a draw. So let's see if we can go back to that well again. I just haven't seen any evidence that it works.
You're telling me Tyrus and his dancing the Funkasaurus wasn't a draw?
Yeah, I'm telling that's exactly what I'm saying.
I can't stand that guy.
Okay, let's walk through this pay-per-view a little bit. We'll start off with the main event just because that's the maybe the big talking point there.
Speedball versus Jonathan. Oh,
no, that was we'll get to that. I was shocked and amazed that was on Countdown. Did not realize.
Well, because 30 minutes were dedicated to Bully Ray.
Yes, that's probably what it was. But the main event here, of course, Josh Alexander, Rich Swann. We sort of talked about it a little bit already, but Impact World Title match here. Scotty, what did you think of this main event?
A good professional wrestling match, but I see a good professional wrestling match a lot these days. So I guess it didn't stand out as much as I hoped.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of unfortunately, the theme of Rich Swann since he lost the Impact World title to Kenny Omega is like I remember before that he was like red hot. Of course, he was champion, obviously, but like he was having some great matches, and then he lost to Kenny in. Some people could say that match didn't reach the ultimate level that you'd expect, but Kenny was broken down by then, and it was a big spot for Rich, a lot of eyes on him. So like when I see Rich Swann now, it's like, all right, I know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's still a really good main event. This is exactly what you want from a show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Mike perfectly hit it. It's like probably one of the lower Josh Alexander matches, at least in the title reign alone, because it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't have that spark for me. I think that's kind of what I look for. Like I don't know about the Bully Ray match because there was a lot of stuff going on there, but I did enjoy that one, and maybe
Yeah.
that's because it was just so crazy.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah.
comparably, I think that's probably why I preferred that over this.
Yeah. Yeah, I preferred the TLC match with Bully Ray too. And it was because it was just so chaotic.
But plus I
And
wasn't expecting Bully Ray to be that opens just that many bumps, that many like the guy. I was like, what is Bully Ray? What are you doing, man? This is crazy.
hey, look, we could say what we want about him, man, but when his balls are on the line, the guy can put out
He
like
delivers.
at least in a chaos match, right?
Yeah.
He can go still. So yeah, I prefer that over it. Look, I think the problem that Rich faces is that when he had his biggest moment in pro wrestling, which was that match against Kenny Omega, he came up short. And I'm not talking about kayfabe wise losing the match.
Yeah.
He gassed out about 8 minutes into that match, and he could never recover.
Yeah.
And Kenny Omega was having a wrestling match by himself for a
Yes.
while, and
Still pretty
he
good.
came up he came up short, and then ever since then he's been kind of like an opening match slash pre-show guy slash
Tag
we'll
team
throw
sort of
Rich
thing.
in here because he can get the crowd dancing.
Mhm.
He's just kind of one of those underneath dancing baby faces. And at the beginning of the year, they were trying to springboard him into like, hey, let's give Rich another shot. And I do feel that Rich is the reason why this match ended up being good, because Josh at one point flipped the script and started working heel,
Mhm.
and then Rich does what Rich can do better than just about anybody else. He is like, I don't know how you guys are quite a bit younger than me, but he's very much a Ricky Morton style babyface
Yes.
where he can take a beating and then eventually get the crowd into it.
Yes.
And I think that's what took the crowd so long is like eventually they turned on Josh and they got fully behind Rich, and that's why the last 10 minutes of that match were so good.
Yes.
Is they were giving us hope that Rich could overcome the odds of this bully Josh Alexander, and then the match ended up being very good. And so, but it just took such a long time to get there. It was like watching a fucking Jay White match in New Japan, where it's like the first 15 minutes are nothing, and then finally you get into it, right? And then finally he hooks you, and I felt like that's what this was. But I had just seen way better matches with Josh.
That was a great point. That pivot into work, they were kind of just coming into this match as face, but more of establishing as a face heel into it. You're completely right. If it came in, if they set that up earlier, then the match would have worked, I think, better. But doing it too late, that's when they finally were able to get the crowd in because, like you said, Rich Swann is able to have that crowd connection. But it came way too late because the crowd didn't really know who to root for. Once they figured it out, then they were on board. And I think you had to, with someone like Rich Swann, you have to draw a line in the sand. You have to say, this is who we're rooting for. We can root for Rich Swann because Kenny Omega's the outsider. We can root for Rich Swann because Eric Young is this monstrous villain guy. We can, but having Josh Alexander, who is the heel because he's the bigger dude ultimately, you need to establish that earlier on in the match. I totally agree. And I totally agree. I think I thought this match was pretty good. But it's definitely like not at like the typical level, not like Ishii, not at Eddie Edwards, not something like that great of
I
a
love
match
that
for
Eddie Edwards match.
Yeah,
Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, me too. Josh's like baseline for his main events have been like 4.5 stars, right?
Mhm.
If you're going off that 5-star scale, they're like 4.5. This was probably a 4.
Mhm.
And a 4-star match is still pretty good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you're getting. I think we had 2 4-star matches on Thursday night for Impact, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you got to be
I
better
said,
than that.
my favorite match of the week came on Impact TV. So
Yeah.
again, I can't push that enough. But yeah, this was a good main event.
Scotty, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go back to the top of the card, or do you want to just go to the semi-main event?
Yeah, you know what? Let me do it because I admittedly was not gonna watch the Bully Ray segment, so I
Fair
think
enough.
by default I skipped way too much because I
Fair
was
enough.
like, because I kept like going through the fight feed. I was like, this is still happening. This is still happening. So I just jumped ahead. I was like, all right, that's
Yeah.
enough. So
Yeah, so
we'll
start,
start,
go
I
ahead.
guess, on countdown to
Sure.
No Surrender. Did anyone watch Giselle Shaw versus Deonna Purrazzo?
Yes, I watched both of the countdown matches.
Yeah, I watched everything. Yeah.
All right, so Giselle Shaw defeating Deonna Purrazzo. How about that? Was it good?
Mike, what is your
Um,
radar on Deonna potentially leaving this company?
I think that she's on the way out. They did pick up her option, so she's here till the end of the year. I think they need to just let her go.
Yeah.
I think they need to call up AEW and be like, hey, look, we're not going to be able to keep her past the end of this year. It's like kind of like a sports thing where, like, hey, you're not going to be able to re-sign somebody, but you got a little bit of time left on the contract, so you trade them into another team and try to get
Yeah.
something in return. But look, they AEW did them a solid by just kind of letting them have Kazarian. I
Yes.
think you call up AEW and you do what's best for Deonna here, who has done a lot of great things in this promotion and carried the women's division for almost 2 years.
Mhm.
I think you call up AEW and play, hey, you guys want Deonna? Go ahead and take her, right?
Yeah.
And do what's best for her because she's on the pre-show. And look, when Mike Gilbert's philosophy, when you lose a match because of major outside interference from a monster, I don't think that is making you look bad. But she lost a match on the pre-show, and
Yeah.
they were fighting over throwing bowls of chili. So I think this is all pretty much beneath Deonna. Although I am a big fan of Giselle Shaw, I think Giselle Shaw is really good.
Yeah, I'm
And
glad.
I
I'm
think that
glad
it
the
looks like they're
loss.
trying to,
I'm glad the loss went to
yeah,
Giselle. Or the
yeah,
the win went to Giselle in that sense.
yeah. But yeah, Deanna's clearly on her way out here. When that is, I don't know.
Yeah, same. I don't know when she's heading out, but watching someone in the someone of her caliber in the opening segment of the first match of the show, in the opening countdown segment of the show, losing, and yes, losing because of outside interference from Savannah Evans, but still losing.
Yeah.
Not a great look for someone like Deonna, and that was frustrating to watch for me. But I like that it went to Giselle because Giselle Shaw, I think,
Yeah.
has something. I think she's good. They're obviously pushing her well, I think, and they're building a lot of people around her as well at this point, giving her a nice
Yeah.
little faction there. So yeah, no, I wish, I totally agree. I wish they can pass Deonna off to someone else. This is the kind of moment in Deonna's back in the days. This is like when someone would leave the territory. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I had a good run, worked really well, but she, before this even, she was starting to lose a lot of steam. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now's a good time to head off into a different direction. What that
Yeah.
direction is,
Look,
I have no idea.
in their defense, look, everybody put Deonna over for 2 years, and now she's
Yeah.
putting everybody else over. She's
Correct.
kind of repaying it back. I think Giselle is like that last person she should put over, and I think they should just let her go.
I completely agree. Because who else? Who else are we gonna? Alicia Edwards? Who else are we gonna put in?
I'm sure she'll have a loser leaves town match to
that's
leave.
possible.
Well, Scott, this is Impact we're talking about. They might fucking kill her ass. They might like have
Rip her
Rosemary
heart
suck
out.
her into hell and chop her goddamn head off. Like a lot of things can happen here.
This is
You got
true.
me there.
This is true.
You got me there. All right, next up, Jonathan Gresham defeating Speedball Mike Bailey. I am still upset this is a countdown.
I was
Countdown.
fully shocked that this was on Countdown. I not see if it got switched to Countdown or something, or if it was always booked for that. But I was like, why is this match here?
It was always booked for that. It was actually like they booked the match on Impact's pre-show. Like so, like they were doing it on BTI.
Oh,
That's
so
how
you
the
never
match got
saw it.
made.
Oh, you're right. It was on BTI, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Jonathan Gresham won a match on BTI, challenged Speedball. Next week, Speedball wins a match on BTI, challenged Gresham, and then they have a match on the pre-show. So I think this was Impact, like classic TNA, throwing the X Division guys on the pre-show to get people excited and amped up to get to buy the pay-per-view, right? Or to pay for the subscription service.
Which makes sense. I understand that.
I was okay with this being on the pre-show because me personally, I was gonna watch everything anyway.
Mhm.
So What you know what I mean? So
Yes.
like where
Yeah.
it's being placed isn't really all that important to me.
Sure.
The problem, so it's like, hey, they're giving me the match anyway. I was already planning on getting it. But if you weren't planning on getting No Surrender, and this was maybe one of the reasons why you would get it, but now you're getting it for free, you might not get the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I don't know how that math works. I don't know how many of those people there were. I had one person tweet me that was really pissed off about it, my friend DJ Convoy on Twitter. He's like, well, shit. He goes, I'm getting this for free, but now I got to pay for Bully. This is bullshit. I'm like, hey, I totally get it. But me personally, I was planning on getting everything anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't like about it being on the pre-show is that I typically like to skip the pre-show.
Yeah.
And this prevented me from skipping the pre-show. And honestly, this was my match of the night. I thought this match was awesome. I wish they would have went 25 minutes. I get the feeling we're going to see this match again here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I wish this was on the pay-per-view, 25 minutes in a prime spot. If it would have opened the actual pay-per-view, I think that would have been a lot better. Like they should have had Kazarian and Big Dummy open the show while people are walking in because nobody cares about that. I would have went Deonna Purrazzo and Giselle Shaw the main event of the pre-show, and then I'd immediately kicked off the pay-per-view with Speedball and Gresham. They would have gotten the crowd, and then maybe they would have had a better night. I don't know, because you still had the Bully segment later in the show. I'd have cut the fucking Bully segment altogether, but that's they weren't doing that for some reason. So that's how I'd have done it. But this was my match of the night. I kind of saw Gresham getting the victory here because he lost to Eddie Edwards at Hard to Kill. Mike Bailey is kind of like their lovable babyface, and he wins and loses every time, right? So he's not really going to be the guy here in Impact. He just doesn't have the charisma to tell this type of stories that they want him to tell. So he's the guy that has really good matches. And that's fine. That's what he is in this promotion. And Jonathan Gresham is probably a guy that they're going to be pushing towards getting an X Division title shot.
You know, Speedball reminds me of Chris Sabin back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, I think Chris Sabin's more charismatic now, but like
He
back when he was like, X Division champion, all that stuff, I was like, this kind, Speedball's kind of in that spot where Chris Sabin went on to get that token world title reign that didn't last all that long, which saddens me because I love Chris Sabin. But I was thinking about that when I saw this. I was like, that's not a bad spot for him. I mean, you don't have the Motor City Machine Guns to lean on after, but that's okay.
If you can take the charisma of Rich Swann and put it into a wrestler like Mike Bailey, you got a world champion right there, baby. That's what you got.
Yep.
But it's I agree. It's just he's not like a charisma vacuum. He's not like completely nothing. But it's just his charisma is just like awkward and sort of like quirky, weird sort of thing. So it doesn't translate well into wrestling.
No, and when he's cutting an angry promo, he kind of sounds like a pussy. Like it's like I don't think this guy can beat anybody up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that I present as like, oh, he should probably be wrestling in like Japan or something because he's really good in ring and he doesn't have to back it up with all the charisma in the world. Obviously, charisma brings you a long way, no matter where you are in wrestling. But I think he would, fit that better. But good for him. He's still he's part of the reason I watch him back. So I guess it's working.
Totally agree.
Next up, Frankie Kazarian defeated Big Con.
Match of the night, baby! Yeah, Big Con.
Yeah. Kudos to Kazarian for carrying Big Con to a passable wrestling match. Passable, but completely uninteresting. Should not have been on the show.
TV match.
I believe they paid
TV
Big
match.
Con.
I don't know, man. Big Con looks like he stormed the Capitol on January 6th to me. I don't know. I might be wrong about that one, but he just seems like that guy. So maybe they pay him in like MAGA bucks or something. I don't know.
Big Con is 100% the TV match. The pay-per-view match should have been like Alan Angels, who's like a guy that could work well with Frankie Kazarian and work well in terms of his style.
I would have done Callahan. That's where I would have went.
Agreed.
If they're doing, because they have the design storyline going on.
Yeah.
They want Callahan to prove something. He's wrestling Callahan tonight at the tapings. I would have just done it here instead of the taping, but it is what it is.
And I also get like this match, it was fine over what it was, but it was also like meant to be a story to further the idea of like, oh, Callahan, he hit Khan in the head with a chair. oh, is it on purpose? Was it on accident? What's going to happen? And they're pushing that story of like, is he fully along of the design, or is he still like, oh, I'm trying to ruin it from within, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so bad.
The Death Dolls successfully defended their titles against the Hex, which shocked me personally. So
Yeah.
I thought this was a good time to just give the belts to the Hex. I felt like the Hex were a good add to this division. So joke's on me.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm the biggest fan of the Hex, but when they came into the promotion,
I'm not.
When they came into the promotion, really they plussed up the tag team division here by 100%. So we went from having one team to two teams, and if the Hex won, then that would give us more reason to watch more tag team wrestling. But they didn't win, so now I don't know. They're just going to keep wrestling each other. I don't know. I know they're not signed here, so maybe that's the thing. They couldn't get them on for any more dates, so they were just came into a job. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're so busy with NWA.
Yeah,
maybe
with their next show that is in not currently an arena and not a confirmed date. They've announced the show, but we don't know when it is or where it is. We just know it's in this area.
Dolls guy. I'm not a big Taya Valkyrie guy, so it's like
really. I've always liked her.
I liked her original run in Impact.
Me too. I would say she had I thought her match last year with Deonna Purrazzo was real good on pay-per-view. But you're probably right. Everything since then has been everything since then has been a bit uninspiring because she's just been kind of in the tag team. But I think the act is fun as long as they stay away from spooky.
She touched WWE, so for me it's like, okay, now it's like you're probably an autopilot for most of the rest of your career, unfortunately, which stinks. I mean, you guys have talked about this, but like Johnny, whatever we want to call him, Nitro, Johnny, what the hell is his name?
Impact?
Mundo? I have no idea what his name is.
He was Johnny. He was Johnny Impact when he was here.
Yeah,
when he
was why is he not here? What is he doing? What that's so
MLW.
important.
He's doing MLW, my guy. He's on Reels TV.
That's
well,
maybe he made the right choice then.
And I don't know how to watch MLW. I don't have Reels, and I have no way of watching MLW now.
That is so frustrating that show is not on demand anywhere.
No,
by the way,
they took it off everything.
Fusion was on Pro Wrestling TV, but once they went onto Reels, nothing has gone on Pro Wrestling TV. I don't know if they're planning on putting it like later or something, like it's on a month delay or something to Pro Wrestling TV, but nothing has shown up yet, and it's like, all right, well, then I have no way of watching this company anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, unfortunately for them, and I can't say much about it. Not looking good for these guys, and I'll leave it at that. Not looking good for these guys. I think we'll probably find out here the next couple weeks or so why.
Yeah,
MLW, they are lumped in with NWA of companies I don't go out of my way to see.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Which it's not. I'm not saying they are NWA, but I don't care for them.
Well, what they're missing is Tyrus. That's really what MLW needs, is some sort of Tyrus figure. Which I guess the real one's. There's something about Real One that if they really push him to the moon, maybe.
I can't believe you just called him Real One. I understand that's his wrestling name, but he's Enzo Amore for his entire life.
Let's get next match. As you can tell, we have no interest talking about this tag match. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Impact Digital Media Title Combat match. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I couldn't get myself to watch it.
Mike, do you? I need to know this because I infamously don't enjoy Joe Hendry. If you like Joe Hendry, can you talk me into the guy? Because I currently don't believe in Joe Hendry.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's like Santa Claus, right? If you believe, you just believe. And I am a believer, sir. Joe Hendry cracks me up. That shit that he did with Matt Cardona a couple weeks ago with Edge's bitch was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I you know what? The people are behind him. I like him. I didn't really care for this match Although for some reason, when Moose started dancing with the virtual reality headset on, I started laughing real hard, and I was embarrassed of myself. I was embarrassed that I was laughing so hard at that.
Same.
I'm not proud of it, but I did laugh. I didn't think the match was particularly any good. Honestly, at Hard to Kill, I thought they had a pretty good match. Right? It was a WWE style like heavyweight match, and that's kind of what you get out of Joe Hendry. So he's like, you could tell that he grew up watching WWE with a lot of stuff he does. Even though he's like a legit real life shooter and a prior MMA fighter, he kind of likes to just do. Yeah, he kind of, you could tell he studied like Randy Orton and those guys, and so, and that's what he does. If Impact wants to make him a top guy, they should really kind of cut back on his Toru Yano shtick, right?
Yes.
Like, because that's what this was very much a Toru Yano. Like, he got that tiny little like remote control race car and tried to hit Moose with it, right? It was just like very much what you would see Yano do in his mixed tag matches, right? So, they might want to ease off a bit, but I do like Joe Hendry.
The reason I don't believe in Joe Hendry is because I've seen so many Joe Hendry matches that, in my opinion, stink ass. I don't like him. I don't like him wrestling. I didn't like the Atlanta match.
Character.
That's part of my character. I didn't like the Atlanta match. I didn't like this match. I thought it was
you
very.
just don't like Joe Hendry.
I don't like Joe Hendry.
I'm just not a believer, bro.
I'm not a believer. I thought Moose in this match. I think Moose is great. I come out of these matches and be like, Moose is awesome. Great. I just don't enjoy Joe Hendry, and I cannot get into the guy. I totally agree. He is a WWE wrestler because because the best thing I see out of this guy is his outside the ring stuff, and as soon as he gets in the ring, I'm no longer interested. He would do wonders in WWE.
So he's Karrion Kross.
He the next Karrion Kross.
then you ring the bell.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I prefer Joe Hendry much more than Karrion Kross. I take that back.
Yeah. I just can't get into it. I feel like if he went to WWE, I fear he would also have like an EC3 thing where it's like he feels like he'd be perfect for WWE, and then they just won't use him properly.
Well, EC3 came into the promotion. The strongest thing about EC3 was promos, and they didn't let him cut promos.
Yeah, well, that's just
and now he's controlling his narrative in NWA.
That's just WWE.
Impact really dodged a bullet with that one. They brought him in first, right? And then thankfully he walked away.
No, they brought him in, and he shit the bed. And then he went to Ring of Honor. I really think they had an opportunity to sign him, and I think that they brought him in on a short-term deal and then realized he wasn't good.
Impact or Ring of Honor?
Impact, and then Ring of Honor brought him in, and then it took them a year to figure out that he wasn't good. Yeah. He was there for 2 years, right? Yeah, he was there for 2 years in Ring of Honor and didn't do anything of note.
No. It literally took them shutting down for EC3 to not have a contract there anymore, which is bad. But we move on. Impact World Title #1 contenders match. Steve Maclin finally,
yes, baby,
gets the win, defeating Brian Myers, Heath, and PCO. Thank God. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Like, I listened to Brace for Impact, so I know you have been too. And Rebellion feels like a big, major show.
They've been slowly making Rebellion bigger and bigger over the years. I don't know.
Well, they started with Kenny, didn't they?
Yeah,
they did. Well, so it started the year before because they've been working out of the Rebel nightclub in Toronto.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys have seen the shows they've done from there.
Yes.
But the 2019 Rebellion, which is where they had Gail versus Tessa. Like, it just really, really incredible venue, and they've been trying to make that kind of a landmark show for them every year. So, then the following year they had the Kenny. Last year was the Moose and Josh Alexander finale. They built that one for like 8 months. So, and then now they've been trying to build Maclin since I would say last summer, and we're finally getting it. This can be the big moment for Maclin, and I'm super excited about it. I didn't think the match was particularly very good, and I didn't think that they made Maclin look as strong as he could have. Honestly, PCO was the original visual winner, but Eddie Edwards screwed him, which is okay, but they should have really had Maclin stack up Heath and Myers and bloody those bastards up and stand tall if they want me to believe that he has a shot to win this title at Rebellion.
What makes me frustrated about Impact's booking sometimes is that Maclin felt like I know what they were doing for the story, but the momentum of Maclin really like capped off for me like a couple months ago, and then we stretch out the story of like,
Mhm.
Impact management won't allow me to be number one contender even though I've proved it. And it's like, yeah, you did prove it, and you've sort of just been like, we're spinning the wheels on Macklin, and now that we're finally getting here, which to get to Rebellion or probably, I don't know if you'll win there, but probably maybe they'll turn into a Bound for Glory show or something, or whatever the Slammiversary, whatever their summer show is, I forget it is. Do that down the line, but it's like we've been spinning the wheels on Macklin for so long, and I get that that's part of the
Yeah.
story, but to me, he's been losing. He lost a little momentum. He didn't gain a lot of it in this match because, like you said, PCO kind of got more momentum coming out of this match and a big feud with Eddie Edwards coming out of this match. I agree, stacking Myers and Heath. We're not doing anything with Heath and Myers right now. They're like basically tag team guys in this company. We're not doing anything with these guys right now. Stack them up, make a definitive win, definitive challenger with Macklin, and let's do something with this guy. I want to push this guy some more, but I don't know. I'm not super excited for the Macklin Alexander match. I know in my head that the match is going to be good, but my heart is like, we need something. We need some more oomph into this match.
I think the reason that they did it right is because now they have months to build to the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's probably true. That's probably a good point.
You can get him like destroying some people along the way, or at least you should.
But they need to get that momentum back on Macklin.
Well, yeah,
you got time to do it.
Well, and I think that they will do some pretty strong video packages to kind of get us interested. But I would like to see him beat some asses on the way there, though.
Yes, he needs to.
Steve Macklin's a crazy like character because I just want to cheer for him. And like he's supposed to be a heel. I'm like, I don't know. Everything about you tells me like, you were kind of a nobody in WWE and you made yourself an impact and you're a military guy. Like everything's helping him. And then it's like, but he's a heel despite not getting his shot at the title for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird.
Well, he's like, he's doing the Punisher gimmick. So he's like, at times he's a heel, at times he's an anti-heel. I was gonna say,
anti-hero.
Yeah, I like him though. I hope the best for him. I'm just happy he finally has a shot on a pay-per-view, not a Impact special specifically. I think that's important. Bullet Clubs, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Kenta defeated Time Machine, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Kushida. This was my favorite match of the night. And maybe it's because I love Motor City Machine Guns. Maybe it's because I am a New Japan fan. Maybe it's because I love Ace Austin, Chris Bay. But you know what? That's all okay.
Yeah.
Because it was a great time. It was exactly what I hoped it to be. I mean, I didn't get Noah Kenta like I like that squeaks out once in a while, but overall, I love watching the Motor City Machine Guns work, and I also learned that Kushida has wrestled more matches in Impact this year than New Japan, which is hilarious.
I think Kushida full time is a strong statement, but I think we're going to see Kushida in Impact pretty much almost every time going forward because he's based out of the States now because he's taken over for Shibata there at the at the dojo. So so I think we're gonna see a lot more of Kushida here in Impact, and plus Kushida is a Scott D'Amore not really a trainee, but a Scott D'Amore guy. Like D'Amore what brought him in on excursion into the States and helped train him a little bit, so he's got some loyalty there. So Kushida is going to be an Impact going forward, and I loved this match, by the way.
Yes.
I think I had the Speedball Gresham match slightly above it, but that was just slight. Like you telling me you like this one better, that makes sense to me too, because I really enjoyed it, and I love seeing Kenta here. We're not going to ever get Noah Kenta again. We gotta and we discussed that on our show. We got to get that out of our heads. He's never coming back. That guy's a ghost. What we're going to get
he
is
exists in there. That's the problem.
It was 2022.
I see it every time he shows up in Noah.
Yes, but he's here representing New Japan. We're going to get Gato's vision of Kenta, and which is he doesn't do as much, and sometimes he kicks the shit out of people. So we're going to get a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think it was like Voice of Wrestling talked about this, that like the thing about like Kenta is that his wrestling mind is like at an all-time high, and he's so smart and so good at this business, but his body is so destroyed and so like crippled that it's like, man, if his body wasn't as destroyed as it was, then we would have like a world champion time over. You know, he would be all over the place and be huge. But it's just like, man, if only this guy's body was working better in order. I did think this match was very, very good. I really enjoyed this match. I feel like this might have been my match of the night. I think I had this very close to Alexander and Swan. This match was very good. Machine Guns, always great. Austin and Bay, fantastic tag team. Great tag team. They were great singles guys. You put them together, they're an even better tag team. These guys, I don't know. I feel like, you know, down the line, maybe they're like the next Machine Guns. I don't know. I feel like there's something that if you stick together for a very long time, I think these guys could be like one of the greatest tag teams. I think they have that much charisma, that much wrestling ability. I think these guys like have something as a tag team, and I want to see way more in this from the two of them. I think they have something.
They should
be. They do.
They should be Impact's like guys moving forward.
Yes.
And I've felt that way about Ace Austin for about 5 years now. So maybe I'm starting to be a little wrong, but I think these two are like everything you want in future stars in the company. And it also helps they don't do the Bullet Club bullshit, right? Like they just wrestle.
They do a little bit of it, you know, but it's more like the showboating stuff. It's more the showboating stuff like the Young Bucks, less the El Phantasmo like Jay White.
I think the association with Bullet Club is holding them back, honestly, because I just don't see any value in that brand anymore. I really don't.
Definitely doesn't have any now.
The leader is gone, so I don't know what we're gonna do with that.
Yeah, that was funny. They were talking about that on commentary. They're like, yeah, they're part of a group that doesn't have a leader, so that's cool. It's like, all right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Mickie James.
Go ahead.
Defeating Masha Slamovich. I'm sick of Masha Slamovich losing title matches. I hate it.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I love her. She's fantastic. Yeah. She shouldn't be losing all these matches.
Well, I think they're going to go to her eventually. I would not have booked her in this match. I thought there was other people. I think they should have just kept Masha. Like Masha lost those 2 matches against Jordan Grace, phenomenal matches.
Yeah,
and it fed into I know this. You know, Jordan versus Mickie was the match to make it hard to kill. So I got that. They should have just had Masha low key crushing people and waiting for her time to take over as the champion, because Mickey's not signed here. Jordan's not signed past the summer. Eventually you got to have somebody to carry the banner, and Masha's here for another couple of years. So I think they eventually go to her. So I wouldn't have booked it. And honestly, I didn't think this match was all that good.
I agree. I think this match is totally fine. I think there were some spots in here that were like, oh yeah, it's all right. But yeah, I didn't expect Masha to win this one at all. I was hoping for like at least a good match. Yeah, I agree. It's like the thing about Masha, especially like we have this on AEW like all the time. Is like when you start having like a monster character in your company, it gets tough to book at a certain point, because it's like, all right, well, this person's got to win, but then they constantly, whenever you get to the top, you get to a top title or anything like Jordan or like Mickie, then it's like, oh, well, they can't win yet. They can't win all their matches yet. So it's like, it's either you push into the top super early, which I don't know if I would have pushed Masha super early like that to a world title that early. I think she'll get one down the line, but it's like, now we're just going to down cycle her, have her destroy more people, and then she'll have like another match down the line. And it's just... I wish we got there a little bit faster, maybe. I don't know. But I wasn't expecting a win here. This match was good. This match was fine. I'm not expecting like Masha to win a title anytime soon. So I think we're still months out, but it is what it is with booking monsters like that.
If I got my way, she would have retired Mickie James. So
I think that would have been great. I would have loved that. I don't know why they got rid of the last rodeo gimmick. I understand why they got it, but like,
because she doesn't want to retire.
But let's just keep it.
Well, she won the title. How long could she be doing her last rodeo? 2 years.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
They had to culminate a Hard to Kill, and she won the title. So now the gimmick is over. She's sticking around.
Let's just keep doing it, because why not? Because then it'd be super impressive to have like a 2-year reign as a title, have never lost a match for like 3 years at that point, right? You know, let's just do it with Mickie James for some reason. I don't know why we'll do that, Mickie James, but we'll do that. Let's just do it. Why not? Give her the Roman treatment. Not have her lose for like years.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I think that's it.
That's Impact No Surrender.
Yep.
That
was
Surrender.
and that was Talking No Surrender. Thank you, folks. Thank you for Talking No Surrender.
Yeah, but good, not a good show. It was. I skipped over Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. Do you guys want to talk more about
I think
that?
we talked about that.
No, I thought we beat that dead. We gave them too much airtime.
I think we talked about that enough. And yes, Impact Rebellion is going to be the next pay-per-view down the line, out in Toronto. So that should be.
What's the next special?
Sacrifice in March. Yeah. In Windsor, Ontario. Sacrifice in March, and then Multiverse, and for WrestleMania weekend, March 30th, I think.
Yes.
And then Rebellion,
April.
Gosh, I can't remember the date, but it's in April.
April 16th in Toronto.
There you go. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, we got plenty of more Impact. And I didn't even see this. Bound for Glory, October 21st.
I meant to ask you, Mike, before we move on. Do you like the Friday pay-per-views?
No, personally, no, because I'm in Honolulu and the pay-per-views start at 3:00 here, and I'm still at work. So,
that's a good reason.
So it really kills. Like I can't go live after the show,
right?
And it's on a Friday night. I'm not really going to dedicate my Friday night to it. Now if I could start it at 8 p.m., right? Like on the East Coast, that would be good. And then I could, be recording by 11 p.m. My family's asleep by then. I'm not taking away too much time from my family. Right. But it starts at 3:00 here. And I kind of had it up on my phone, but I'm still working at the same time. I got one earbud in, it's on my phone, and I'm kind of half watching. And then I got to get home. I got to do dinner. And then we go out, we play games and do all that stuff on Friday night. And they come back. And then I got to finish watching the show. By the time I'm ready to record, everybody's asleep. So what I did is I just finished the show in the morning and then recorded it at like 6 in. So it really screws up my whole schedule. Yeah. And I'm also a fan of consistency. Be consistent. If you're going to do it on Saturdays, do it on Saturdays. But no, this one was on Friday. The next one I believe is on a Saturday, and then Rebellion in April is going to be on Sunday night. So there's no real consistency there. So I don't know what's going on with these guys.
Yeah, I like the Sunday. I prefer like normal pay-per-view days. So either Saturday or Sunday, pick a lane. Friday's just so weird. Didn't they do a pay-per-view one time like after an AEW show or something? Like they did it like 10 p.m.
They did Bound for Glory with Christian and Josh Alexander. Yeah, they did it because AEW decided to have Battle of the Belts. They booked it after Impact already booked Bound for Glory and had the rights to Christian Cage. So, but thankfully they were doing it from Las Vegas, same venue, Sam's Town. Mm-hmm. So instead of starting it at 7 or 4 local time, they started it at 7 local time. Yeah. So it wasn't like that big of a deal, but it was 10 p.m. on the East Coast.
Battle of the Belts. That shouldn't be something to be scared of, but that's fine.
Well, I guess at the time
it was part of the deal. It was part of the deal with Tony Khan too, that he didn't want to compete with himself.
Yes.
That makes sense. All right, you got me there.
Keiji Muto. Let's talk about this guy. Keiji Muto, grand final. Hold on, let me get grand final Pro Wrestling Last Love Holdout from Noah took place this past Tuesday. In the Tokyo Dome, 30,000 people. I believe there was reports saying it was the most amount of people in the Tokyo Dome in the past several years. I'm sure COVID probably had played into that. But we'll boost those advertising numbers no matter what we can. Let's talk about the show. How much of the show were you able to catch, Scotty?
I watched it beginning to end, baby. I don't miss a second of Keiji Muto books shows. Come on now.
Yeah. Mike, were you able to watch all the show? I forgot to ask before.
I didn't watch everything. I caught the first couple of matches, and then I went to the All Japan versus Noah match. I wanted to see that one.
Yes.
I saw Kaito and Okada, and then of course I saw the main event. So
you saw the important stuff.
Yeah. We'll start with the main event, the semi-main.
Which one?
I guess, technically. Let's talk about Muto versus Naito first off. Of course, Tetsuya United defeats Keiji Muto in his quote-unquote last. Maybe that's why the last was in quotes, because it wasn't his last match. That he was telling us beforehand what he was going to do.
He's a smart bastard.
Hey guys, can I go first real quick, and then I got to bounce because I got some noise happening in the next room. So I just wanted to say, loved Keiji Muto versus Naito. Love Keiji Muto versus Chono. I love that moment. I got goosebumps when that happened, when he came out with the cane. I got a little teary-eyed. The best part of it for me, besides the Chono thing, was the entrance. I loved everything about the entrance.
Yeah.
And yep. And I have to go.
Yeah.
So
Well,
guys,
so much.
Yep. Hey, Scotty, do all my plugs for me, all right, buddy?
Yeah, I will. I got you.
Right. Bye, guys. Thanks for having me on.
See ya.
I'll hit Mike's plugs now before we get into the full show. So as Ryan does the technical parts of probably fixing how the stream looks.
Yep, just did it.
Yep. So I'll talk about it here. So you can follow Mike at Mike Gilbert 311 on Twitter. You can check out Brace for Impact on the Fight Game Media Patreon. His free version reviews Impact every week. That's with JD Olivia. Fantastic show. If you wanna watch Impact without watching Impact, that is the best way to do it, because they'll just tell you like it is. Like if something sucks, they're gonna tell you. As you kind of heard today, right? Like, yeah, he does an Impact show, but he's on Impact like Die Hard. He's gonna shit on the bad stuff and cheer up the good stuff. So check that out. Mike's great, as you all heard. So yeah, make sure to check all his stuff out. But let's get to this now, right? This is the prime money making, winning, best show of the year, baby. This is the one, and I never had a doubt. I never doubted Keiji Muto. I never doubted my king. I love this man. Mike kind of spoiled a little bit of the what happened after, but if you're listening to this, I hope you've already watched it by now. So it doesn't really matter. But we're talking about Naito and Muto, yes?
Yes, we are. Naito versus Muto. I thought this match, was it, it's not going to be a 5-star classic. Of course not. It's Muto. He's not going to be doing that stuff. There were moments where like Naito was, I think Naito was trying to do his finisher, and he like they stumbled a little bit because like Muto didn't have him held.
That was
completely.
literally the final one.
Yeah, and I was like, oh God, Muto, hold this man, this man. And Naito basically just did it himself. It's moments like that where it's like it destroys use the film term verisimilitude of the match. But ultimately, it's like what this match was: a huge historic fest of move after move after move. Shout outs for Muto. Naito doing the move shout out of running the entire ramp. Just doing those sort of move shout outs for most of the match, and then going to the closing stretch of Naito getting the win here at the end there. To me, not a 5-star classic by any means, but very much like, really good shout outs historically. Muto looked way better than we all thought he was going to look.
No, not all of us. I knew.
Yeah, okay. You knew that the man coming in saying like, I have 2 broken ACLs.
He's lying.
I know he's lying. He lies
all the time. This is literally the life of Keiji Muto, baby.
But I thought, go ahead.
I obviously love this match. I love the simplicities of just doing the figure fours.
Yeah.
I love this guy hitting the Emerald Flosion and paying respect to Baba and Hashimoto. I loved him teasing that goddamn moonsault. This man had me on the edge of my seat.
That was a great part of the match, honestly.
Moonsault tease.
Yes.
If he hit the moonsault, this is getting 5 stars because it had to.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't hit the moonsault, which is probably safer for all of us.
Twice.
But you know what? He should have just put it into God's hands at one point. He should have just been like, here we go. But I don't think his legs would have let him launch. I'm sure they weren't feeling too great.
Jesse walked in as that moment was happening, and she's like, is this 6-year-old man about to do a moonsault? And I said, well, no. I mean, I'm sure he hasn't done one in a very long time, and I'm sure this man is probably thinking both in kayfabe and in reality, if I do this, I will not be able to kick off so much, and I will land directly on my head. Or if I do it successfully, I'm basically landing on my knees anyways. Yeah. So I'm sure
it was a lose-lose for him.
It was a lose-lose to do the moonsault.
But I thought Naito was excellent in this main event. Like, I think that's the most important part. Like, yes, this is all about Muto, but Naito's the reason this match is parted together perfectly, I think. And I like the finish of the Shining Wizards followed by the Destino.
Yes.
One Destino. Call it a day. Put Keiji Muto out of misery. Was it the match on the show? Obviously not. But it was a very special main event, a very special moment, followed by an even more special moment.
Yeah, the surprise of Muto calling out Chono for a match, calling out Tiger Hattori to referee a match.
Crowd exploded.
Chono and I, because Jesse was also watching that moment, and she was saying, it's a very sweet moment to give a guy like Chono an official retirement match, stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if this is a work or if Chono knew beforehand, but either way, Chono's really playing into it. But I love the idea that it is that Chono had no idea, because then it's Muto being like, oh no, while we're all here, I'm just going to call this guy out. And this guy who hasn't wrestled in forever can't say no, because now 30,000 people will be disappointed if this guy says no at all. Yeah. So he's now forced to do this match. So I just think that would be hilarious.
I can't walk.
The guy who walks with a fucking cane. He was moving a little bit.
He did.
He's got some stepping.
I loved that.
There's something about these old guys when, as soon as they get in the ring, the youth comes out, or not the youth, but like they're able to move, they're able to groove. There's something about that that's just wild to me.
Yeah, we'll see. Muto's rocking a wheelchair when he's not wrestling. Yeah, I would say that's exactly what once the bell rings, it's all over. I I absolutely believe that at least Tiger Hattori didn't know, because he was not getting up.
no.
They were like, Jesse, no, actually get up, buddy.
Jesse commented that like Tiger Hattori didn't get up till Chono get up, and she was just like, Tiger thinking to himself, oh, well, if he's getting up, then I guess I'll go.
I think everything about like everything Muto did on the show was like, he couldn't have asked for a better send-off.
Yes.
Right. Like the entrances were fantastic. The match with Naito, great job. And then the Chono moment, I mean, that's something, if you watch that, if you watch that and you witness that, whether it was live or after the fact, especially if you didn't know, it was extra special, because it's like, wow, what a moment. And yeah, I mean, I can't believe this guy's done. Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway. But my biggest takeaway from this whole show was, and we'll get to the rest of the show, why can we not appreciate big retirements more than we do already? Right? Like I made the point. Why is, like, I don't know, maybe this will happen, but why aren't we building an entire show around Sting's retirement? This man announced he's retiring this year.
Yeah.
And I barely even get him on TV, let alone wrestling or any of that. So like, I want the world to watch this and be like, oh, not only can we make freaking amazing money out of this, but we can make an entire show out of it that people care about. And like, you can't do it for everyone.
Yeah.
But I say Sting because Sting's one of the biggest pro wrestlers in the history of the US. Like, it's not like we're just like, he's Muto. Like, that's what he is.
The problem with Sting in terms of retirement is that, like, I totally agree. I do believe that we're going to have some sort of Sting retirement show. Totally believe that's going to be happening on AEW television. The problem with it is that you can't quite do it on the scale of Muto retirement.
No,
you can bring people in from Japan, but you can't have WWE people going to do the show. Right. That's the other thing, is that you can't do it where like Muto's bringing in everyone from the corner of the globe, being like, "Hey, come on in to Noah. We got stuff for you."
But you can bring in people from TNA/Impact. You can bring in people from, like, his history is thankfully not WWE. So you can pretty much play that to the most part. A lot of the guys you do need aren't in WWE. Like, yeah, you can't have like AJ Styles, I guess.
Well, I mean, I thought of two people immediately when you said TNA Impact. I thought of Kurt Angle, and I was like, well, I don't know if Kurt will want to do that. And then I also thought of Ric Flair, and I was like, I don't know. They were going to do that, and then that didn't pan out. And lately, doesn't seem like that's going to be panning out, because now the guy kind of is
You could
talking about
probably
more
get
for
Angle.
WWE.
I think you could get Angle.
I think you could, but it's one of the things as like it's there is now the culture war surrounding AEW and
Yeah.
WWE that it's like, will you see legends who are in WWE or have WWE associations like that? Who can they honestly get that has no ties to WWE that would be willing to come in to do a Sting retirement show? That in the middle of this quote unquote war,
The
you know?
Great Muta.
The Great Muta. All right, okay, that's one.
DDP.
Steamboat. You get Steamboat.
You get DDP. You get
DDP. Yeah.
you get the Steiners.
Oh no.
Maybe?
The Steiners signed
They did
contract with
sign one.
WWE.
That's a shame. Jeff Jarrett, baby.
Yeah. Woo!
You got that man under contract. You don't gotta worry about
world, dude.
That'd probably be the retirement match. Of course, I'm kidding. It's weird because with Sting, it's like some of them you can get retirement videos probably,
Yes.
which is okay. I mean, for the most part, for Muto at least, right? You didn't have a lot of his rivals wrestle or anything. It's just like be in attendance.
Yes.
I think you could mostly work that out with a lot of them, but you never know. I just hope that Sting gets the right send off at the end of the day.
Totally agree. And I think we will. I think we'll cry in the moment Sting fully retires. But yeah, I agree. I what's great about it is that like Muto can have this sort of set off. He deserves this sort of sent off at a certain point. And yeah,
He did the goddamn dome.
he did the dome. He did the deal.
The dome on a Tuesday.
That's true. We packed the show on a Tuesday. God, Muto. Let's talk about let's go to the top of the card here for the Muto Grand Final Pro Wrestling Last Love. Hold up. Pre-show stuff. Daiki Inaba and Masaki Miya defeats Yoshiki Nomura and Yasuka Yano. Any thoughts about
Why
this?
the fuck was this on this show?
I don't know. It was just a simple tag match that doesn't really matter. I questioned in our preview why didn't they just do this as a GHC tag match, but I guess they didn't announce it beforehand. But whatever. Fine, serviceable. Fine. Any thoughts? No.
Whatever.
Yeah. 8-man tag team match. The Tokyo Joshi Pro match. Miyu Yamashita, Rika Tatsumi, Shoka Nakajima, Yuka Sakazaki defeats Maki Ito, Miya Watanabe, Mizuki, and Yuki Arai. What do you think of this Tokyo Joshi showcase?
I thought they did a great job. You could tell that they were filled with joy. This is, I say this, I don't know this for sure, but this could be the only time they wrestle a match inside a full packed Tokyo Dome. So they obviously cherished the moment. You got some good moments. You had Miyu Watanabe, I think, who really shined with doing the big swing and her power stuff. Of course, Yuka getting the win. So it was a fun match. It was a cool match. It was perfectly spotted, honestly, because I think this brought up the energy.
Yes.
Like getting Maki Ito to do the damn thing with the microphone, that was awesome. It's like, and everyone responding, it's like, oh wow, people actually like pay attention. So I think they did a really good job at. They got some time too, which helped. Everyone got a little shine, but yeah, no complaints here. This probably should have been the opening match, in all honesty. In terms of like getting the crowd ready, because that first match was so useless, but whatever.
I can agree with that one. Yeah, no, this you're right. This had a good energy to it. The crowd was into it. Yeah, and everyone got a good enough spot. 11 minutes for 8 people. Nice little spot for everybody.
Yeah, little splurges here and there.
Good looking guys. Anthony Green, Jack Morris, Jake Lee versus Segura Goon, Takeshi Segura, and Timothy Thatcher, and Satoshi Kojima. And what is seemingly Kojima's final Noah match?
That sucks.
With Jake Lee pinning Timothy Thatcher very quickly, and with the news that happened this weekend, maybe there's other reasons why Timothy Thatcher got pinned so quickly.
Ring of Honor's Timothy Thatcher. Ah, shit, I didn't mean to say that. Yeah,
and then Jake Lee getting the win here in the pre-show to eventually challenge the world champion down the line.
You guys see what post Muto Noah is gonna look like? Hell, it's gonna look like hell, people.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for Noah.
They're running Sumo Hall. I learned.
When?
In April, I think.
Oof.
Yeah, they're on. Oh, May 4th. They're running Ryogoku, as Mayu says. And people start asking me, what's going to be their signature match to draw? I said, I don't know. I couldn't even begin to tell you what would draw in that building.
Kano, Keitomiya,
I
maybe?
guess.
That's the best match, probably.
It's the best match, but is it going to draw? Like, know. Kaito probably should be your champion heading in there, but boy howdy, do I have fear that Jake Lee might be winning this title, and that's not good.
He shouldn't. He was a top guy in a smaller promotion than Noah.
Perfectly said the other day on a stream that I did. He failed as a top guy in All Japan.
A smaller promotion than Noah.
Yeah.
This guy should not be any sort of world champion in this company.
No.
I don't think I don't think Jake Lee is going to win, to be clear.
My one thought, this has entered my mind. What if it's Kaito versus Ibushi?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would draw.
That would be like the only one that would make sense to me that is plausible for them. Unless they're bringing in like someone from the outside. Which I guess it
would be Ibushi, yeah. Jay White?
Oh, gee. Yeah, Jay White wanted to leave Japan. No, he actually just wanted to leave New Japan.
Yeah, that's what he meant. That's what I meant.
A post-Muto world is...
It's going to be rough.
A interesting one to follow.
Well, because it's also like, the non-Muto shows were not really selling too well for Noah. And I understand, like, maybe people want to save their money for the Muto shows and stuff, but, like, I don't know. I'm worried. I'm worried about how this company is going to work without Muto. Because, it's not just Muto. He's probably going to be taking a bunch of guys with him, and they're going to be less booked, like Fujita and all these other people. I mean, Fujita wasn't on this card.
No.
He was
the best
there.
way to look... I don't even know how to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, for them. Because, like, I guess they're in a spot, like, Stardom is technically. It's like they don't have, like, major names. Or, I mean, Stardom's getting there, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got Kyrie, they got Mercedes now.
Well, yeah, they have Mercedes now. I guess that changes things. But my point is, it's like when they did Sumo Hall the first time, they didn't have, like, a Muto or a Kyrie. They just went in there and they did great. So I guess that's kind of what they hope for. But Noah's not red hot like Stardom was.
No.
So should be interesting.
Should be interesting.
Good luck.
Opening show of this, the official opening of the show was the 10-man junior match. Chris Ridgway, Daga, Haida Yogawa defeat Alejandro, Kokok, Yohei, Yoshioka.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit about this match?
This match stunk. Everything about this junior division stinks. I hate it. Hayata's back, so it just became worse. I hate it. I hate it. I was like, what am I watching?
Injured. I totally forgot that he was injured.
Yeah, because you didn't watch his matches to begin with.
I know. I watched the Ninja Mac one.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Man.
These guys stink.
Yeah.
This was the worst match on the show, and I was shitting on Masaki Tamiya's match like 10 seconds ago.
DDT showcase match. What do you think about this DDT match?
I think they did a good job at showcasing DDT.
Agreed.
Ryan,
I think they successfully showcased DDT.
They had a lot of fun spots. I think they went an interesting route. They went with all their rookies pretty much on one team and Endo against like their main group that's led by Takeshita. Of course, he's not around to help them, so they have Ueno, of course.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a great plan here. I was shocked because they do have names to bring in, like a Akiyama and a Higuchi, and like they have main event stars to bring in, but they went with the young guys, and the young guys went out there, gave great energy. They were placed perfectly on the card. They got to follow that stinker, so like it just helped them all the more. But yeah, they showcased DDT. Good job.
Yeah, it was a solid outing from.
Yeah, it was nothing special, but it was fun.
Serviceable. Six-man tag team match: El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., Naomichi Fuji, and Ninja Mac versus Z-Brats, Diamante Kai, and Shun Skywalker. What did you think of this match?
Shun Skywalker is going to kill someone if he has to wrestle Ninja Mac again. Which he does on Wednesday. He's in another match with Ninja Mac. Every cross-brand match he's had, he's wrestling against Ninja Mac. It doesn't make sense.
They want to do something of Shun and Ninja Mac, but they don't. Shun does not want to be involved at all.
Also, we need to stop acting like Shun is a junior, please. Yeah. This guy is gigantic compared to like every other junior I see. This match unfortunately was hurt by the injury that Diamante suffered at the end, but it was good. I wish Shun was in the match longer.
Yes,
he's a star.
Yes,
besides Marufuji.
Yes, I think this match was again one of those like completely serviceable matches. Like I was like fine with this. I agree. Like showcase Shun a little bit more, but I mean the match was like I felt like Kai was showcased more in this match than anybody else. And Diamante and Dr. Wagner Jr. had a lot of great lucha stuff, which was very interesting, which is very fun to watch. But yeah, it was just like really just like Diamante and Kai, and then Shun was like, "Oh, I got to work with Ninja Mac." Yeah, I'm good, guy. Because we're bringing up Dr. Wagner Jr., I feel like you've watched it because you're a big Glee guy. Talk to me. Have you watched Dr. Wagner Jr., El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr.'s, I guess, brother in Glee?
I haven't watched him yet. Is he good?
I don't know.
I saw him do a cannonball. It was terrifying.
I saw him do it was a cannonball that caused the finish of the match because the guy got knocked out.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I don't know.
He's a big dude.
I'm interested. I'm very Dr.
Wagner Jr. Kid Dr. Wagner Jr. Apologies. He's good. Like, he's really coming on lately, I think. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like, he had a good match with the redhead, Soya.
Yes, he did.
Good title match, which impressed me because I'm not a big Manabu Soya guy. Mm-hmm. So, like, giving him this title was a smart decision. He has a lot of confidence. But yeah, I saw the cannonball and I was like, oh dear God, who the hell is this guy? I didn't know he was his brother until you just told me.
Yes, I found that out. He is. I don't know if they're like officially brothers, but yes, I believe he
makes Dr. Wagner Jr. child seem small.
Yes, he's ginormous. He's a fridge. He's essentially a fridge.
He's a fridge.
This brother show that got good, I would say. Kongo, Nakajima, Kano, and Soya defeat Kento Miyahara, Yuma Aogi, and Suwama.
I don't get to talk about Kento enough on this show, so this is going to be a
because I held off on the All Japan conversation because I was unsure about getting into it. But guess who's watched like 4 or 5 All Japan matches this year already? Not necessarily including this one. Me, baby. So maybe we're covering All Japan. I don't really know yet.
Just a Kento guy.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of his matches, and I watched the Naoki Doi title change. I watched the Shingo, the Yuma and Zai match, the new young lion guy, Yuma and Zai.
Yeah, he's the future of All Japan.
Yeah, he's got something. I mean, I was like, oh, he's really kind of holding his own here with Shingo. But not talking about that stuff, talking about All Japan stuff. Let's talk about All Japan versus Noah. Obviously built around Kento and Nakajima. I thought they really told a great story in this match between the two of them. Not really like locking up to begin with. Then once they got into it, it was like, yeah, baby. Suwama, I loved Keno annoying Suwama. And Suwama being like, fuck this guy. And just like grabbing him.
Suwama fucked up Keno.
Yeah.
Like Keno was loopy for the next like minute.
Yeah, that was so good. So good. Yuma Aogi I thought was fine. Soya was fine. I don't remember anything specifically about that.
Yuma played the heel thing of the Muto thing, and that popped me.
That you're right. That did pop me. That was a good spot. But yeah, I thought this match was really, really good. I thought the great story of this match, well worked. Kento and Nakajima, man. I just want to see more of that.
They have to do the singles match now.
Yeah.
You're leaving money on the table if you don't.
Yes, and I'm sort of upset that we're going to do Miyahara versus Masaki Amiya down the line, but I mean I'm excited for that match. Don't get me wrong, but you got to do the singles match.
Yeah, you really do. And this couldn't have been any better than it was, if that makes sense. Like, this was exactly what it needed to be, and then some, because Suwama got very angry about this match and was bitching people left and right, which was awesome. Kento is like, he's unbelievable, because this is a guy who's in rinky dink all Japan, and he is one of the very best. And like, you watch him, and like, from his entrance alone inside the Tokyo Dome, you're like, how is this guy not the biggest star in wrestling? Like, that's kind of what I think about when I see him. I'm like, he would be, and he'll never leave All Japan because he's their ace. But like, I just sat there and imagined, like, what if he got that bigger stage like this?
Yeah. And it worked. His charisma worked with this crowd.
Yeah, this guy was oozing charisma, as you expect, as was Nakajima. These two, like I said, were masterful against each other. Kano played a good supporting role. I don't remember Soya doing anything besides getting absolutely owned by Suwama. Suwama was bullying this guy. I was like, oh, Soya can't come back from this. It's over for him.
Yeah.
Yuma playing the Muto thing was great.
Yep.
I loved every second of this. This was absolutely what I hoped it would be. If you're not watching Kento Miyahara, I'm not even gonna tell you watch All Japan. Just watch Kento.
Yes.
Like, he is worth all your time. I feel like this match told you that, but this match is only a hint of how good he is, which says a lot, because I thought he was great here.
Yeah, he was definitely the star of this match. Bullet Club, Gedo and Taiji Shimori. Speaking of stars, Gedo and Taiji Shimori versus Mazada and Nasawa Rangai in a 4-minute classic match. Really did nothing in this match, and then Nasawa was like, Ishimori, take me out. Ishimori was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm sure. And then Mazada and Gedo were like, hey, what the hell is happening over here? And they're like, should we get involved? And Nasawa was like, no one get involved. Take me out. Taiji Ishimori takes him out in a very sad affair for the two of them. And of course, they get the win. So very short match, just to really just put the button on Nasawa Rangai's career, I guess. What do you think of this one? If you had any thoughts.
Waste my time. Much like any time I see Nasawa. A waste of my time.
Well, then we'll move along.
Perfectly placed on this card, though, because of the intermissions that they were doing.
Yes.
Like, they had intermissions. Yeah, because if you watch this on video on demand, you didn't have to deal with the intermissions.
Yes.
Also, the Keiji Muto video, by the way, I never talked about this, before his match of, like, with the Frank Sinatra, I did it, that was great.
Yeah.
This man, Nasawa, yeah, goodbye, buddy. I don't need to see you ever again. Thanks.
Hiromu Takahashi defeats Amakusa. This match was great.
Yeah, it was fast.
Yes.
It was very fast. But it didn't feel like they did too much, if that makes sense.
No. It felt like Amakusa really showcased himself here. And, maybe I think part of it is like it's not like disdain for Hiromu, but just like sort of like I'm kind of over Hiromu. Yeah. Hiromu's also like slowed down significantly because of all his neck injuries and other injuries and stuff like that. But I felt like they worked really well. Hiromu worked well with Amakusa, and Amakusa just like showcased himself off to like a huge stage and was like, oh yeah, this guy's got like young Hiromu energy about him. That's like, even though they're like the same age, this guy's got something about him that's really showcasing himself well. And a loss is a loss, but I think what this match ultimately did was showcase Amakusa to be like, oh no, this is a guy. This guy's crazy. This guy's got it.
Yeah, he's a stud, and he's gonna get to show it again in that junior festival, which is good. He's the type of guy I think Noah should keep riding with their junior division, because he's actually exciting, unlike most of their division. Yep. So yeah, it was his breakout performance. It wasn't. Hiromu was pretty much there just to play bass.
Yeah. Yes.
It worked perfectly.
Yes, and it worked fine. And because what it did was showcase Amakusa, which I feel like Hiromu, because of how he wants to do this All-Star Japan Festival, is trying to do that. Is trying to showcase Amakusa. So I think the match completely worked. It meant to showcase and elevate your opponent even through defeat, and I think Hiromu did a great job in that. And Amakusa obviously was able to do that. So I think good job on them. And of course,
so
the
good.
other. Go ahead.
He's so good. When he was what the hell what was his name before this?
His
How
name
How
How Hao.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never cared a damn minute about that guy. This guy's it.
Yeah, this guy's it. And then the other match here, Kazuchika Okada versus Kaito Kiyomiya.
The other match.
The other match here. This match was great. This match was fantastic. I really wish it was less of. I wish it was. We talked about it earlier in the show with like the Ricky Morton style, like can get beaten down and then fire up.
Yeah.
Kiyomiya is not that for me. Like I wish he was able to be more of an even footing with Okada, but especially like being world champion in Noah.
Yeah.
But it's also like Okada's the New Japan world champion. He's been for a bit, and also he's on this like Inoki tear where he's just going out there and beating the crap out of guys. So like that, like I understand why. I just wish Kiyomiya got a little bit more in this match. He still got a decent amount, but I just wish it was a little bit more and not just such like an utter defeat. And Okada being like, "Nah, I'm done with you. 2 Rainmakers, get out of my ring, and I'm getting out of here."
One, did you watch him and Shingo yet?
Oh, what's your second question?
I don't have another question. I was just gonna talk about the match.
Well, number one, no, I guess is the answer. To that.
Thank you. I figured that out. Second,
it's on my list. I'll watch it this week. I promise.
All right, buddy. Sure. This week's like action packed with stuff, including an AEW pay per view, and you're trying to tell me you're gonna watch it, but okay, yeah, sure. Anyways, I thought this was excellent. My match of the night, personally. I don't, listen. I'm okay with Kaito getting his ass beat. You know why? Because he is kind of a geek. He's forever a geek now.
Yeah.
And the reason it worked is because this was a Noah crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So him playing that baby face that is getting owned by like this dominant champion worked for me. I think my favorite part of the whole thing is that they gave this man his Rainmaker pose with camera.
Yes.
Just for him to fucking destroy their world champion seconds later. Like this guy hit the damn landslide Rainmaker, had him beat, pulled him up, said nope, did the Inoki Itsuguri.
Yep.
Did a goddamn Emerald Explosion in a Noah Tokyo Dome show, and then smashed him with another Rainmaker before giving him the WWE pin from like a heel of like, yeah, I squashed you, buddy.
Yes.
What Kaito gets from this is exposure. Obviously, people now know who Kaito Kiyomiya is, and I think Kaito Kiyomiya had a good wrestling match when he was on top. I think he had good offense.
Sure.
Like when they were wrestling on the outside, I thought that was great because he was really like showing how much he wanted this. And I liked it went from Okada not really wanting to be there, kind of like, all right, let's get this over with, to, oh, I kind of have to pay attention a little more to this guy, to, all right, he pissed me off so much, I'm going to fucking destroy him at the end of this. So I think that's why I liked it so much. Okada, this is crazy to say, but he is on another level.
Yes.
From like,
yes,
I won't say everyone right now, but like it's like him. For me right now, it's him, Kento, and Danielson.
Are we gonna do our quick our February catch up?
Yeah. Like I was just double checking. Like my top 3 wrestlers so far this year are those 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've all Danielson had his great matches, and Kento's been fantastic. Now I'm sure Kento's probably gonna fall down a little bit because he's no longer champion. Sure. But like that's kind of the way I look at it. I think but Okada, I think, is the best of the 3 right now in his big matches still. Like he is, and you haven't seen the Shingo one yet, so you'll have the opinion, but after the fact. But like he hasn't missed in any of his title matches. The Tanahashi one was great, obviously. Mm-hmm. The one where he beat Jay White was better than I think a lot of people respected for, besides you and me. The Shingo one was phenomenal. So Okada, like you said, in this like Inokiism type mindset, is maybe the best he's been since not maybe it is the best he's been since that 700 plus day reign as
Agreed.
IWGP heavyweight champion.
Agreed.
And I'm excited to see what's next. I mean, this man's about to go squash Goto again for the title. So like, let's fucking go, baby.
Guess
I
so.
called that last week, by the way. Did
Yeah.
I not?
Yeah.
I said, oh, maybe that'll be the anniversary match. And it was.
Yeah, he's gonna die. He's gonna die in that match. Yeah,
I love New Japan right now.
My current top 5 wrestlers, and there's like a tie, I think, of a bunch of people.
Yeah,
I
sure.
have Okada, Omega, Danielson, Nick and Matt Jackson, and then Moxley. That's what I got in there.
Big AEW guy.
Yeah, I tend to be a big AEW guy, I guess. I guess you could say that.
Freakazoid.
A little bit of Freakazoid. Where is Kento on my list? Let me update this list. Kento, I got Yuma Aoyagi at top above Kento. Kento is 12th.
Yuma's been great too.
Kento is 12th on the list. He's tied with Adam Page.
Wow, how about that? I have Kenny and Yuma filling out my top. Though I haven't seen some Will Ospreay matches, so
no, I did hear that in France of all places.
Yeah, he had a great match with what's his name?
Yes, Tristan Archer or something like that.
Yeah, too bad I can't find it.
It was on Twitch apparently, and they typically looks like they upload them to YouTube later. So I'm on the lookout for that one.
You're killing me, people.
Yeah. But currently Okada, Danielson, Omega, Moxley, Matt and Nick Jackson, Jay White, Kaito Kiyomiya, Darby, Yuma Aoyagi, Will Ospreay, Adam Page, and Kento Miyahara. That's who I got in my top 12.
I mean, if anyone, I think for a lot of people, Danielson's right now the rest of the year, especially if you don't watch like all of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
And he probably will be my wrestler of the year after Sunday, presuming they have a good match.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about something off air after the fact that MJF may or may not be a little loopy. So you never know. But which isn't great timing. But yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic, like I can't stress enough, like I thought 2022 is the best year of like in-ring I've ever seen, like personally in it.
Yes.
I right now 2023 is like
better,
going to destroy that.
Yeah.
Because like we're only in February. March is going to be huge, right? You have big Stardom pay-per-view start off, you have Revolution, you have
New Japan Cup.
New Japan Cup, you have WrestleMania week that starts in March, then in April you have WrestleMania stuff, you have other stuff that I can't. There's a lot of wrestling, okay? Yeah. You get the point. And New Japan's like on the Secure Genesis, I think, is in April.
Yes. The Mercedes matches will be in April.
Yeah.
The All Japan tournament is in April, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Champion Carnival's in April. Yeah, so it's like it's just nonstop, and then Best of Super Juniors will come up, and then the G1. Dominion, G1, 5-star, like. Usually, like the dead months are February and beginning of March, I'd say, and then probably a little bit after WrestleMania season. There's no time, none, zip. We are living, and thank you, Keiji Muto, for helping that, obviously. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving wrestling right now. I can't complain, folks. I mean, I definitely complained on this episode, so you're going to laugh at me, but that's fine. If I'm not complaining on an episode, am I really doing the episode right?
That's a fair point. Well, I think that's it for us on this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We'll be back next week on Saturday. We'll be back early on 8 a.m. on Saturday. I got friends coming in, so we're saving time for that, of course.
He's trying to kill me.
As I do, I'm going to try to kill Scotty every week. That's the point of the
Saturday is a Stardom paper.
Yeah. Hey, you said yes, and I appreciate that.
I didn't remember. Oh boy, it's fine. I'll just sleep through other.
But next week next week on that Saturday we'll preview Revolution. We'll preview the New Japan Cup, and we'll talk about whatever else is happening. Oh, and we'll review episode 1 of Ring of Honor, and then we'll talk about whatever news things will happen next week. Scotty, anything to plug? And what was your match of the week?
My match of the week was I have no idea. Just talked about everything. That was good. So that's cool. Let's see.
While you're looking that over, I will do the plugs again for Mike. Again, thank you so much, Mike Gilbert, for coming on to the show. You can check him out on Twitter at MikeGilbert331, and you can listen to his show, Brace for Impact, on the Fight Game Media Network. Great show. As you can tell, he, as Scotty already said as well, gives the pros and the cons to Impact, the honest opinion of Impact. So if you want someone who isn't going to be sugarcoating Impact like some people do, Brace for Impact is a good spot for that. If you want good, honest opinions on that promotion. Scotty, did you find something?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Fantastica Mania, baby.
Yeah, baby.
I just started watching it last night, like main event stuff mostly,
Mm-hmm.
and then like 1 or 2 matches otherwise. But one Mystico has been fantastic, like extra fantastic. So I'm gonna do Volador Jr. and Mystico versus Templario and Atlantis Jr.
Yes.
Atlantis Jr. is fucking huge.
Yes,
I just want to point that out. I was like looking at him, I was like, I don't remember you being this big.
No.
But I heard today's show was even better than what I've seen so far, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I've heard it's only been ramping up and getting even better, and I'm so excited for more Fantastica Mania. I only watched night 1 so far. I need to watch night 2 and 3. I'm behind. But I'm very excited to watch it. I'm very.
Do you know what the final night is?
Good. I think
it's Mystico versus
Atlantis, right?
Atlantis Jr. Yeah. That's good shit right there.
I love it. I can't wait. I wish there was more Rocky and Volador, but
no Rocky at all. No Rocky didn't feel like coming.
That's disappointing. My match of the week. Oh, anything to plug, Scotty?
No.
Beautiful.
Nothing this week.
Then I will say you can follow me on Twitter at RyanIC, and I'll also say you can follow Scotty at Scott E Wrestling. But don't tweet at us because we're sick and tired of tweeting with dumb tweets for the past 2 weeks.
Well, the listeners aren't dumb.
That's true. The listeners tweet at us. If you're not a listener, don't tweet us. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Follow me on Twitter at RyanIC, it's Scotty at Scott E Wrestling, the whole show at Countout Pod. Subscribe to the podcast Ring Post Radio wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to the whole network. You listen to a bunch of great shows, like you said, like Your Dose of Death, like Okada Shorts, like what are some Scotty? What are some other great shows on the Countout Network? God, I just can't think of any other great shows on the Countout Network. If there was like,
take me home. You can listen to Stardom Road.
Is it too late to change the theme to Take Me Home, Stardom Road?
If I could get someone to sing it, I absolutely would.
Then there we go. Check out Stardom Road. They had a great show. Great episode. Part 2 of Hoshinki? That's not how you pronounce it. Great part 2, Scotty. I thought that was a fantastic job.
Thank you.
So definitely go check out Stardom Road. And yeah, my match of the week, I'm just going to do a obvious pick. Dynamite, Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. Totally a match that, like, on paper, I was like, this will be good, but I'm not sure how great it's going to be. Turned out to be a great match. Turned out to be a match that the crowd was super into it, too. They got super into it. And I thought there was a really, really great match between the two. So I was excited to talk about that and see that. But yeah, we will be back next week with an all-new episode of Ring Post Radio. Scotty, any final words to say?
You're gonna have to listen to next week. We got way too much you're gonna want to miss. We're back on Saturday. I'm gonna be a fucking zombie. I might not even sleep between the start of pay-per-view and this show. I'm just realizing because that show starts at 2 a.m. All right, maybe I will sleep.
Maybe like an hour.
maybe like an hour, get a little beauty rest. So be there, 8 a.m. next Saturday, live stream. Of course, you can listen to it after. You don't want to hear us, you don't want to miss us preview AEW Revolution.
Yeah,
and then,
baby.
of course, we'll be back next Sunday night reviewing Revolution after an hour-long Iron Man match.
Yes. Yes, that'll be on the count on Patreon. We didn't plug that, but that's a great point.
Yes.
Patreon.com/patreon.com.
If you want to see us do it live.
Yes, it's patreon.com/countout. /countout. So if you want to go check that out, or /countout pod, I should say, we'll be doing our usual post AEW pay-per-view live stream, immediate reaction. So if you want to go watch along with that, all you got to do for $1 is subscribe to the Count Out Patreon to listen to that. So go.
Oh, and like you
out.
said, we're reviewing Ring of Honor next week.
And we're talking about Ring of Honor next week. So should be a great show next week. So definitely go check that out and join the Count Out Patreon. Patreon again. Patreon.com/CountOutPod. Listen to that only for $1. And you can listen to that for $1 and it'll stay up there on Patreon. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this week's show. We'll be back next week for an all-new episode of Ring Post Radio on Saturday. Until then, goodbye, everybody.